Over the middle, he has Ebner in for a touchdown.
Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Now with 5. Mitchell wants another three, and he finds it.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Over the middle, he's got a man in stride, and walking into the end zone is Josh Fleeks with the touchdown.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Counters made by Amari Cooper, who broke free. Inside the 20, stays in bounds, and is wrestled out at the Eagles' 8-yard line.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go on this Tuesday afternoon. We'll hear from Olympian, former Waco High and Baylor star Will London III. He'll join us momentarily. Jordan Nabors, who was going to be on with us yesterday, Rockwall-Heath wide receiver today at 3:30. And then one of the ringleaders, along with Zach Pyron, the quarterback out of Alabama, Kaian Roberts-Day. He'll join us today from Festus High School in Missouri. He'll join us today at 4. Craig's off the radar. David Helman, DallasCowboys.com, and a late ad, Daniel Hare, Baylor sports law professor, on the Supreme Court ruling yesterday and name, image, and likeness. So let me ask you this. We have, again, a long way to go. There's still games to be played even in 2021. But Dave Aranda made a decision at the end of last year, and we'll keep up with the Texas and Tennessee College World Series elimination game. Texas now 7-4, that game into the top of the 5th inning. Pretty heated up in Omaha in that elimination game. UT Texas leads Tennessee 7-4. So Dave Aranda made a quick and emphatic decision after the season ended to change his coaching staff, especially a lot of it on the offensive side. There's been a couple of changes, of course, on defense with Curtis as well. But at the same time, he made a decision because it obviously didn't work on the field. But I'm not so sure that wasn't part of just how that staff and the personality of how they mesh together. Are we seeing, based on the recruiting the last week or two, that perhaps he also felt like that staff was not all in together, or something else was missing, chemistry, camaraderie, whatever? Are we seeing that pay off now?
I think we are. I think you're seeing from the jump with recruiting with Grimes and Mateos, a different kind of offensive lineman, a different kind of player that they were after. And I also think it was just, going forward, I think Dave Aranda looked at the system that Larry Fedora was trying to implement and didn't think it was going to work, and needed to go with something that he believed in a little bit more, and that's Jeff Grimes and his system.
Yeah, I think clearly the staff is working well together. Maybe they got a boost in recruiting. I mean, Mateo seems to be far more active than Joe Wickline was in the time that he was on campus. But, I mean, what are we comparing it to? Because we're comparing an open year to a year where they weren't allowed to have anybody on campus. Like, it's easy to say now when you've got 100 kids on campus the last 2 weekends and all these unofficial visits going on and commitments are flying left and right. It's easy to go in comparison to last year and be like, man, they're really making a difference. Well, they couldn't have anybody on campus last year. They weren't allowed any visits. They weren't allowed to do any of this. So I do think that it is better off than it would have been last year, but I also think we never really got to see like anybody with Fedora or Wickline or Brian Stewart on campus, so who knows really there. I just feel it's unfair to really kind of comment too much on them, but in comparison and based on what we're seeing right now, they've got the goods going on. They've got the right group of guys together. They seem to mesh well. I think Mateos has certainly provided a spark and actually made people get excited about the offensive line. Grimes with his offense, I mean, he's going to be popular until we see it and it doesn't work for the very first time, and then people are going to, pull their hair out like normal and, say that they could call better plays. But if he comes out and that offense is giddying up right out of the gates, then there's nothing preventing them from being a very good team and having even more momentum in recruiting ultimately.
Well, obviously it's working, and we're going to hear from one of the young men that did commit over the weekend, and Jordan Nabors, he'll hit 3:30 today. Then Kaian Roberts-Day. Seemed like he and Zach Pyron have kind of led this class of 2022, and we'll hear from him and his measurables. I got off the phone earlier today as Grayson's going to do a story, kind of a Q&A with Kaian Roberts-Day as well in the premium section. His measurables, his weight has jumped 21 pounds. And also now what went from an athlete or whoever, whatever position, to now the possibility he is a tight end. That he is a guy and we'll talk to Kaian about that at 4 o'clock today. Casey Lightfoot joins Trayvon Bromell, Will London III, and Brittany Griner joining the United States Olympic team. He finished, I think it was second last night in the pole vault. Outdoor personal best of 9 and 2 1/4. 3 American pole vaulters, first time ever cleared 19.2.25. He's second. Tied for second, advances to Tokyo. So you have 4 members of the United States Olympic team, 4 of them that are on the U.S. from Baylor on the U.S. Olympic team. And there's still others who have the chance to compete between now and Sunday, including Aaliyah Miller, the 800 meters, along with Aloysia Williams, along with a few others, Lauren Paquette, Maggie Matoya, and Tuesday Tidwell, all of them in various events. So we'll see what happens there. Big news. Go ahead.
You ever wonder about the pole vault, like how it was invented, like what was the practical application of it before it became a sport?
I think it's crazy.
Yeah, I think
it's crazy.
Yeah.
I said this in a speech recently. I said, who thought about this?
Yeah.
Run down what was probably back then a dirt field and with a stick in your hand that might have been, I don't know, bamboo. And, oh, by the way, stick it in a hole and hope it props you up into the air far enough or high enough to vault 8 feet. And then it's now, and what if it breaks? And I've heard those stories that a pole vault cracks and maybe guts somebody. I don't know. I would never be able to do that. Ever be able to do that. One of the bigger stories today, and it's not news to us. In a way it is, but it's not. We have been discussing. Ashley Hodge and Jason King have been all over this for a long time on Jared Butler and the heart condition. And one of the reasons he did not play at Alabama and transferred to Baylor was because Alabama would not clear him. We have discussed this before in the show. Today, the NBA has asked that Jared Butler be cleared by what basically is a health committee to find out whether or not, it's called Fitness to Play Panel. He is not permitted to play or practice in the league until he is cleared. Remember, I asked Jared the question when he did officially turn pro about what has he heard, what does he expect from the NBA. So this is something that I think was expected. It still sucks because who knows if they're going to clear him to be able to practice or play.
Yeah, you would think that.
They've had King McClure, Isaiah Austin, of course, we remember that story. They presented him as a draft pick anyway. King, of course, we knew that. Baylor has been able to accept these because of the guy at the Mayo Clinic. I just went blank on the doctor at the Mayo Clinic. Dr. Ackerman, who's been very much involved in Baylor athletics. But it's still reality, and yet, damn it, I hate this. I hope it works out for Jared.
Yeah, you'd hope so, and you would think that the Mayo Clinic reports and the tests that he's done will be good enough to keep him in professional basketball, or at least in the NBA. Isaiah Austin's playing professional basketball and is hoping to get a shot at the NBA eventually. So we'll see. I hope that it works out. But Jared knew this. I mean, this is not something that has come up out of nowhere like it did with Isaiah Austin and the Marfan syndrome. That he was kind of surprised to know after the NBA, after this happened. He knew about his heart condition, but he didn't know about the Marfan syndrome. And with Jared Butler, he's known about this. So he knew this day was probably coming one way or the other.
And this isn't the NBA trying to just, this is the NBA trying to prevent something tragic. Something, a Hank Gathers moment, or something like what happened in soccer a weekend ago or so. So it's not to just they're trying to do it right, but at the same time, I hope that everything works out for Jared Butler.
Yeah, I think he's going to be fine in whatever walk of life that he takes part in the future, whether that's as an NBA player or as an assistant coach or whatever the case may be, whatever he decides to do. But he clearly wants to play basketball, and hopefully the NBA allows him that opportunity. He seemed to get through his career at Baylor A-OK when, Alabama, if Alabama had their way, Jared Butler would have never played college basketball, and yet he played, 2 years at Baylor, or 3, and won a national title. So weird for a guy who shouldn't have been playing that he played 3 full seasons and won a national championship. So, maybe that means maybe there's something to that to where, it's something they need to monitor, but it's not something that's going to prevent him from playing, entirely. I don't know. That's what we're all awaiting to hear now, but I would sure hate, it's one thing when people dream of playing in the NBA or Major League Baseball or the NFL, but they're not good enough. And that's the reality for, nearly 10 out of 10 people in the entire world, like 9.7 people out of 10 in the entire world. But it's even worse it's actually worse or bad when a guy can play and then he's, not allowed to play. Like, this isn't a guy who's just not good enough. He's clearly good enough, and he's clearly a first-round draft pick in normal circumstances. So hopefully this ends up, with a nice ending for Jared Butler and him playing in the NBA.
I do think, and this is from me off the top of my mind, this is from weeks ago when somebody told me that there could still be this same issue when it comes to playing professionally in Europe. Isaiah Austin was able to find a way to do it, and so we remain hopeful for Jared Butler.
In China.
Yeah. Texas A&M head football coach, one of the greats in R.C. Slocum, been on this show, one of the great people ever, has been diagnosed with a form of Hodgkin's lymphoma. He will require chemotherapy, will be done in College Station, monitored and consulted by MD Anderson. He had put up a post, I guess it was on either Instagram or something. This kind of started percolating about a week or so ago, that he just didn't feel right. And they ran a battery of tests and ran some more. And that announcement, he of course, put up a note about how he is going to fight through it. And it's the only one way to know how to do it is to win. And R.C. Slocum, our prayers from everybody here at SicEm365 that he does have, first of all, that everything works out okay and he can get himself back. I had a friend that knows him that said he played golf on Sunday. So that he was out playing around a golf on Sunday. I'm not sure exactly if that was this Sunday, past Sunday, Father's Day Sunday, or the week before. Jake Smith of Texas has entered the transfer portal. He started 6 games for them last year. 23 catches, 294 yards, 3 touchdowns. Very highly ranked recruit. He was back after, I guess he had some injuries, but he was cleared to return back in May for team summer conditioning. In fact, Steve Sarkisian, he's back. He'll be ready to go with us starting next week in our summer conditioning program. He now has entered the transfer portal. Also, College World Series is 7-4 Texas. Is that right, or is it 8-4? 7-4 Texas. That's in the bottom of the 5th.
Now it's 8-4.
8-4?
We're about to. Oh,
no, it's 7-4. Go ahead.
Jake Smith, I was going to do that off the radar. That's all right, though. He was hurt constantly. Sorry. No, it's fine. He was hurt constantly. He was another overrated Texas signee who was supposed to be the next Jackson Shipley or whatever BS I heard whenever he committed, and he was the next Great White Hope or whatever. And here he is, washed out. Typical kind of overblown at the time thing with recruiting that we see a lot. And he never did anything for Texas, basically. I mean, he made little to no impact and was mostly sidelined with injuries, so that's not really a loss for them in any way.
No, and he might end up somewhere. Who knows where it might be. All right, well, when we come back, he is a U.S. Olympian. How about that? Clyde Hart, the Hall of Fame legendary former Baylor coach, told us about the story with Will London III and how he got in the Olympic team. I had a chance to talk to his father earlier today. The stories behind how his track career started and how he hated the one event now he's going to the Olympic Games to compete in when he first started. Will London III from Waco High and Baylor, U.S. Olympian, next on SicEm365 Radio. Pioneer Steel and Pipe since 1943, metal, steel, pipe, heavy, bulky equipment that you need, product you need to build things. Build things on whatever is commercial real estate or on maybe perhaps your land, or if you own a ranch, something like that, or just stuff that you need for a metal building. And they have it. And they also can find what you need. If, in fact, you need somebody to help you with a project, they will recommend various contractors so it does not turn into a nightmare. Pioneer Steel and Pipe since 1943. They have survived all of whatever ups and downs, the highs and the lows with the economy, whatever's happening in America, whatever's happening around the world, and they continue to thrive. That doesn't mean it's always been easy. But one thing that they do is they provide amazing product for you and also incredible customer service. We're talking about heavy-duty equipment here and product, and they'll deliver it, unload it for you if that's what you need. And bottom line, they don't want you to buy from them once. They want you to come back again and again and again. And you do, and people have since 1943. Locations in Waco and Bryan. The Pioneer Boys, pioneerboys.com.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. Cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
The 4th of July sales event is going on at Allen Samuels with the 2021 Jeep Renegade Latitude and values up to $3,750 or 1.9% for 72 months plus $500 bonus cash. And the 2021 Jeep Gladiator Overland with values up to $1,500 or 3.9% for 72 months. Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340, online at allensamuelsdcj.com.
Come by, let's be friends.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness was built to help give you a chance to enjoy elite tennis facilities and also remain fit or reshape your body. Now Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has gone through its own physical changes. There are 7 large flat screens stretched across the main and improved weight room with Wi-Fi available and their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports channels. The beautiful sound of active treadmills and elliptical machines, group exercise classes throughout each day, a new ballet bar for bar classes, a new look lounge and bar with beer and wine with more large flat screens available. Touchless water fountains outside each spacious men's and women's locker rooms, showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts and lessons for adults and juniors. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Also, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. So start today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on SicEm365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics.
All right, here we go. This 3 o'clock hour rolling along. Craig Smoak, Paul Catalina, David Smoak also in studio with us, making us sound and look as well as possible. Emma, Armstrong, Hayden, and Jack. We're now joined by U.S. Olympian, Waco High, and Baylor's Will London III. When I say that, Will, when you've heard that, when you found that out, when you knew that was official, U.S. Olympic team, what did that mean to you? What was your reaction?
It was some mixed emotions on it, Like I wanted, me, you've covered me a long time, and me, I've always wanted to win. It was never about just doing the bare minimum. So I was still a little disappointed, but, I had to hold my emotions together and realize I accomplished a big dream, and not anybody in Waco can really say that. So, I'm excited for the opportunity. I'm ready, but I'm still hungry.
What was it? I mean, when you're preparing and you're about there, what's that moment like when as long as I know you weren't happy with, your finish, you said you wanted to be better, but when you knew, like, this is the one when I get there, like that right before it?
I really don't know how to explain it, because it's just like I've been doing it for so long that it just kind of goes through the motions. But I can say that I'm excited to know that I wasn't excited about the situation, because it's like when you, as an athlete, if you get excited about being too complacent, you really don't see too much more of yourself as an athlete or a person. And the fact that I was able to just make the relay pool, and I was, it was just like my first time being able to make the Olympics, and I'm excited for it, but I know I could do more. That right there added fuel to the fire, because that just told me as an athlete, it told myself that you're going in the right direction. You're going to remember this feeling in the next 3 years instead of 4. You're going to remember for world championships, and you're going to want to do more and not have this feeling again. And one thing about, me and you both know, you poke the bear too long, it's going to bite eventually. So it's like, I know my time is coming, so I'm going to reset for next year after the Tokyo Games and, get ready. And this time I'm going to come with vengeance and ready to get on the goal for the 400 and not just the relay.
So, Will, I know you saw my tweet last night because you responded to it, and you just kind of mentioned at the beginning there, you are the first Waco athlete to make the Olympics. There's been lots of Baylor Bears on, Olympic teams. Michael Johnson, obviously, is probably the first one people think of, Jeremy Warner, et cetera. But the first person from Waco, what does that mean to you?
It means a lot. I'm able to say that and really show the kids that's from Waco and everybody around it can be done. I don't think the kids here, they've already been able to see NFL players, NBA players, but I think to see the biggest stage, it's going to be different. It's easy to watch a NFL game every week and a child can get complacent with it, or watch an NBA game because it's like the norm. But for them to see something that they're going to only see for every 4 years, I think Olympic game is going to stick a lot more, So I'm just glad I'm here to inspire and to show the kids that and everybody around that their dreams can be done, and just got to keep fighting and keep pushing, and whatever comes along with it, you just got to run through it.
How long was yesterday after you had, of course, clinched a berth on the team, and then you have to go through all sorts of, I would think, protocol, paperwork, whatever. Now you're going to Tokyo down the road. But you told me on a text message it had been a long, long day. Was it because of relief and the fact that it was over, or because of all the things you have to go through the Olympic, team and qualifications, et cetera?
Yeah, it was just a lot of processing, like team processing and all of those things like that. It was just a very, very long day. Like, I know when I woke up that morning and I didn't sleep at all the night before. And it really wasn't even sleep from excitement, but sleep from what could I have done more, what can I fix, and what can we do going into the season for next year. I was already thinking ahead of what we can do to, be the greatest next year. And I'm always that type of athlete. Like, I can win right now a gold medal at the Olympics, but what are we going to do next year to make sure we're on this same level? Like, we got to do more. And, and I think that's why me and Coach Hare have always been able to do great things together, because he's a coach that loves to win. I'm an athlete that loves to win. And we're going to hold each other accountable. We're going to try to fix everything we can so we don't have this feeling again next year. But as far as yesterday, the team processing, I've done team processing to make U.S. teams before, but this one was a lot. Like, I think it took over 3 hours to do all the processing, book the flights, try on the uniforms, get everything done, media team, just all of those things like that. And it's a lot more this year because of the COVID situation. And we even have to give our own COVID tests, the ones you got to stick all the way up your nose before we leave. We got to do like 2 of them before we leave just to get to Tokyo, and just covering all the basics of everything that's going to be going on when we get down there before we get there. And we was there for like 3 hours. It was a long day. I think I walked in there at 12, and I think I didn't even leave till like 3 or 4.
How old were you when you first thought you wanted to go to the Olympics, and how old were you when you realized it was a reality?
I think I realized I wanted to go to Olympics in the 5th grade, and I think I realized it was able to happen in 2016, my freshman year at Baylor, when I actually did go to the Olympic trials, and I made it to the semifinals, and I got knocked out. Like, I missed it by 2 places my freshman year. I think I was only like 18. And I think at that point, it was like, still wasn't comprehending how great that was, because I've seen athletes that been young and made the team. So I didn't even want to put myself in a position to say I'm young, Like, I've always been the type to be hungry and know I can do something. And I've never set myself low on the standard. So I know now going into it, I kind of did sell myself short, because I was just wanting not to relive that moment of not making the team not missing the final and making it past the semifinal this year. And I think once I did that, I kind of felt flat going into the final, because the goal was accomplished, and I sold myself short. And it's a mistake that every athlete sometimes can make. Everybody sells themselves short sometimes, but one thing about it, it's not the end of the world. I'm young. I'm 23 years old. I'm still able to go through countless number of Olympic cycles and redo this. And I got world championships next year. I get to reset and figure it all out and start again.
Will, I asked Coach Hare about this yesterday, but what do you remember about first meeting him, and what kind of an impact has he had on your life?
I've met Coach Hare, I think my first time meeting Coach Hare when I actually ran for Team Waco, and he was just coaching Sonya and Jeremy at the time, I believe. And I wasn't even thinking about college or anything. I think I was in middle school, maybe even younger. And my dad always tell me about who he was, how great he was. But as I got older and got into the system of, trying to get recruited and things, and I think the first time he came to my house, and he said, whatever goal that you want to reach, we're going to reach it. And we've been on the same page ever since then. It's always been, we're attacking every goal. And I feel like this time, the goal, we accomplished it, but I know me and him know we could do more. And I feel like this is something that's going to always be in the back of my head and in his, right? Because I know Coach Hare. Like, I know how Coach Hare thinks as a coach. He's a great coach, and he wants to win just as much as I do. So we're going to figure this out. We're going to get it together. And, it's just a little bump in the road. It's not much. And it's crazy to say that making an Olympic team is a bump in the road just for a relay, because it's still a great accomplishment. But we want to make the podium for the Open for it.
All right, so the first ever track meet, or the first time you ever ran competitively, I think your father told me you were 5 years old. Do you remember what shoes you ran in?
Swim shoes, I believe so.
Swim shoes.
Those don't have any cushion.
Yeah, they didn't have. They didn't make spikes. My feet were too small for the spikes sizes they made.
And that's how it started. And here we are. Here you are. Not we. Here you are. All these years later, and you're representing the United States. Of course, this is something you expected, as you mentioned. Your mom and dad, I asked your father how many miles, because they just got back from Eugene, I guess, yesterday. You were in late overnight. I said, how many miles have you traveled? And they're not going to be able to go to Japan or Tokyo because of the COVID, restrictions. And he said millions. And maybe he's right. How much has their support meant to you and all of what they've done to help you get to where you are today?
Man, I can honestly and truthfully say I would not be here in the position I am today without them. They've always been there every step of the way. My mom and my dad, they've always been there from practices to track meets to basketball to football, whatever it was. They were there from every day at practice. My parents were there. Not at practice, they was at the meets, at the basketball games, football games, early morning drives. We was just doing local or going from Dallas to Houston. I remember one time I was playing in the AAU basketball tournament and running the state track meet in the same weekend. And I think the state track meet was in San Antonio, and we drove from San Antonio on a Friday, and then drove straight from San Antonio right after I got done running and drove straight to Dallas, to Arlington for a basketball tournament in the same day. So, and this was something that went on consecutive weeks for years till I got into high school and was going through the same situations in high school. So this wasn't anything that was like a 1 year thing. This was 10 plus years. And I really appreciate them, and it's pretty cool to be able to see them continue the journey to me being a professional athlete now. And I want to be able to be in a situation next year where I'm able to go in the stands and hug them and say we did it, even though we did do it, but on the more of the caliber that we want to succeed in.
Was there one time when you were running in a race, your dad saw you on the track? I think he said he may have gotten there late, and he yelled at you something about Will, he's trying to give you some sort of advice, and you turned to him. I don't know this while you were running. You were younger. Dad, I'm going to win this. I'm fine, or something like that. Do you remember that moment?
Yeah, it was actually before my first ever goal at the state meet for TAF, and I think I was 12 and under. I think it was 12. I think I was like 11 or 12 years old. And we were sitting under the tent, and he had just got to the meet. It was at the state track meet. And I was just sitting there, and that's when I finally realized that I could be a great athlete. And this was at 12 years old, and I was focusing, and I was just really tuned and locked in. And I couldn't hear nothing from the outside world. It was just me, and I was locked in. I was ready to run. He was just yelling my name, Will. He was just yelling, trying to get my attention. And I could just hear him, and I turned, and I was like, stop, I can do this. And I know he was upset because he thought I just wasn't trying to listen to him. And I ran, I ended up winning. And I think that day I won 3 gold medals that day. And we broke the state record as well. It was, on that relay, it was me and Khalil Harden.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah.
Good old Khalil,
yeah. Khalil Midway and went to Oklahoma. And you also one time ran with Calvin Hill, right? Tom Hill's son that played at Live Oak, who's a really good athlete as well. Yeah.
I ran with him as well. So I think on that one it was me, Khalil Harden, Jamal Cashaw, and Jalen. I keep forgetting Jalen's name, but he also played football at Midway, and I think he went to Abilene Christian.
Okay.
Played football. So it was
Jalen Moss.
Yeah, Jalen Moss.
Yeah, good player. Yeah, absolutely.
Not a surprise you guys won with all the names you just mentioned.
Bunch of D1 guys.
Don't forget Christian. Christian ran as well. He ended up going to SCU for football from Midway. He was a DB.
Yeah, remember Christian? Remember him very, very well. Yeah, a couple of midway DBs there.
Yeah, they need some more of those guys to come back. They need more of those back. Will, I know you expected this. Now you get to go compete in Tokyo for your country. What will that feel like? Have you even thought about the opportunity if they start singing the Star Spangled Banner and a medal goes around your neck?
I haven't even processed in my head yet because, like I told you, I feel like I'm still hungry for the next level. You know, so it's just, I haven't even processed it yet, and I know I need to because this is not a moment that you might not ever get. You know, a lot can happen in the next 3 to 4 years.
Sure,
a lot can happen from here on till tonight, 10 o'clock tonight. So it's just like I need to enjoy the moment. But like I told you, like the athlete I am, I'm just a very competitive and very hungry athlete. And this time I sold myself short, but I will take the opportunity and I will enjoy it. And I'm going to go to Tokyo. I can't wait to get down there, run for USA like I've done in the past, but on a bigger stage this time.
Like you say, you never know. I mean, the Olympics were supposed to happen last year, and they didn't end up happening. And then there was talk about them not happening this time around, and thankfully they are. But I would imagine just walking in as a member of Team USA, the opening ceremonies is going to be pretty cool experience. Will, you're not the only Baylor track and field star that's headed over to the games, or even Baylor alum. Brittany Griner will be over there, obviously, with the basketball team, but Casey Lightfoot and Trayvon Bromell also making Team USA. What are your thoughts on 4 Bears, but 3 track and field Baylor alums making their way over to Tokyo?
Man, it's great. You know, I did yesterday, you know, me and Trey, we've been together really this whole week in Oregon. Like the day I got there, we was together and we spent a lot of time down there. And then along to yesterday, we was doing team processes together the whole day as well. So, you know, it was pretty cool. And then I got to see KC, I think 2 days before we started competing. And we talked a little bit at the track, and I already knew those guys. We was all set in stone to make the team because those guys always set a high standard for themselves, and they hold each other accountable, and they're always ready to be great. And I'm just happy, really happy for Trayvon to be back into his feeling to being a championship runner. He's never really lost it. He just had to get back in that mode and get ready to go. Like me and Trey talk every day, even though, you know what I'm saying, he moved to a different training group. But me and him talk every day, and he never lost it. Like, I told him that from day one, that his injury and everything. And, you know what I'm saying, I used to tell him, I'm like, Trey, you still going to be the same Trayvon Bromell. You're still going to be the fastest guy that I know. And you just got to go out there and run. And everything that he's done, I'm not surprised by it. Like, I kid you not, I've seen this guy do some great things. I've seen him go out there and be able to run fast at a very low caliber of him being injured. So I knew once he got back 100% healthy, it was his to get.
Will, everybody that has known you, not just the city of Waco or Waco High alums, but Baylor alum, everybody, people in Central Texas, United States, thrilled for you. Thank you so much. I know it's been a busy few days and a long time coming, and good luck. Enjoy, as you said, the moment. Enjoy the next few weeks, and also enjoy that trip to Tokyo and bring back that medal for you, the family, for everyone involved in Baylor, and thanks for your time. We appreciate you.
All right, thank you, guys.
Will London's father said he missed maybe a meet when Will was growing up. He and his wife went everywhere. He broke a foot and could not get to a meet because he just, he had major foot surgery. But then he started, I think he said maybe that Will was a junior or so. But that's a family that has traveled hundreds of thousands of miles.
Like, that's world-class parenting right there. Then the only thing that keeps you away from watching your kid is, like, the doctor saying, you can't go.
Yeah.
Well, I think, the fact that he loves it, is the important part in that whole, traveling around thing, because we definitely know of parents or know of people or maybe even experience it ourselves where, the kid's not necessarily all that into it, but you're taking them all around, because they got to get that college scholarship or whatever. But Will's into it and the family's into it, and they're going to the Olympics, and I think that's awesome.
It is awesome. Thanks to Will London III, also to his parents for some of the insight we received as well. And congratulations to both Will London, third, and also Trayvon Bromell, Casey Lightfoot, and also Brittany Grimes.
And I do wonder if the city of Waco will – I mean, they don't need to have a parade or anything crazy, but, I mean, the first Olympian in your town's history is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, that has to be at least something where once he gets back, you would think, because then if you do it now, then he gets – so something at some point is going to happen.
Yeah, at least like Olympic Day or something like that.
Jordan Nabors of Rockwall-Heath is coming up next. He committed to Dave Aranda and Baylor football over the weekend. They had a hell of a weekend, including the commitment yesterday from George Miley from Utah, the offensive lineman. He will join us next on SicEm365 Radio. Armstrong doesn't know this, and he's going to think this is because of him, but Marco's Pizza is about to deliver because of how hard Jack, Emma, and Hayden worked last week while he was on vacation. So I've ordered a couple of pizzas, all meat, thin crust pizzas for those three because of how good they were to us, the three of us, throughout the week. You guys agree with all that? I think you should. Also, there might even be a few chicken wings or something involved, and he doesn't like those anyway. So Marco's Pizzas, who we go to when we want pizza delivered to the studio, to our apartments or condos or houses because they're so good. I talked to Bob Mock earlier today, who owns the 3 locations in the Waco area, China Spring, Woodway, and also in Belmead. And he said, hey, just keep doing what you're doing. Summertime, pizza's delivering, and we'd love to help make sure that somebody gets something they want to eat because our pizza is good, and it is good. Marco's Pizza, locations in Belmead, Woodway, and China Spring.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasoning, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Do it today by searching SicEm365 on YouTube.
Thanks to Will London III, a Baylor Olympian, headed to Tokyo this summer. Appreciate his time. And now, thanks to Jordan Nabors, Rockwall-Heath wide receiver, committed to Baylor, Dave Aranda and company over the weekend after a great weekend for Baylor football. And Jordan Nabors joins us on SicEm365 Radio. Craig, Paul, and David Smoak. Jordan, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. So how close did you feel like this staff and those who visited, how good of a weekend was it, you think, for Baylor in a way that it was one of the rare times after last year was shut down when players could start to get together and also see coaches?
I think it was amazing just having to have everybody back and everybody being around everybody, just having that culture and family feeling like back. It just felt amazing. And over the weekend, just meeting all the new recruits and the players and just everybody else, just the community, it just felt amazing and just felt like family. It felt like home.
What was your impression of Chancey Stuckey and how he's started out recruiting here and bringing in the wide receivers at Baylor?
Man, he's an amazing guy. And just from the first time that we talked, he just kept it real with me from the start and just told me my role and how the Baylor offense would develop. And he was talking to me about all the other players too and how we would just work to build the Baylor offense, how it should be played. And whenever I did get there and we got to talk, he was the same as he was over the phone, and I love that. He was just an amazing person.
So what did he tell you about how you fit into what they're looking to do offensively?
He said he's looking to move me around. He wants me to play outside, play inside. He said they'll move me to the backfield a little bit, give me a couple handoffs, and put me in Wildcat a couple.
So that piques your interest a little bit, I'd imagine.
Yes, sir, it did. I love touching the ball.
Well, I mean, get your hands on the ball. Now, what is your straight out, flat out, what's your lowest 40 that you've been timed in? Because Coach Spradlin, who we've known since when he was a coach at Temple, he was on Coach Browse's staff at Houston, said you have incredible straight line speed.
Okay, so my fastest, I got clocked at a hand time with a 4.39.
That'll work.
Yeah,
that'll work.
My fastest laser, which was at the Under Armour camp a few months ago, was a 4.43.
That's razor thin. The differences between a 4.39 and a 4.4. It sounds like it's just so. It's just such amazing lightning speed. How do you improve on that? Just by what? Fundamentals, technique, what, or just how?
A lot of it, honestly, it is, the 40-yard dash is technique. It's honestly all about the start, and once you get that down, that will improve your 40 by a lot. But, I mean, just flat-out speed, I mean, it's God-given talent, obviously, but, I mean, it is something that you could work on, and it's something that I did work on every single day this past summer. So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those things I wish God had given me, but he made me able to do impressions. So thanks, God. Anyway, but Jordan, when you came to Baylor the first time, did this feel like the place the first time, or did you have to kind of grow into it?
The first day I came, it was really just all about meeting the people and just feeling their vibes and just being around everybody. But the second day we went out and we did a bunch of things. I got to see the the apartments just to see like what I would be living in if I was there, and they just showed me around everywhere. And then just really being inside the stadium, the fact that I got to play in the stadium this past season back to back in the playoffs and had really good games. It's just right when I walked back in that stadium, it just brought back memories and it just felt like home.
What was it like getting to see Dave Aranda? I mean, imagine this is like the first time you're seeing a lot of these guys in person, right? But what was your interaction like with Dave Aranda?
Man, he's a real stand-up guy, but I love him. What's the word I'm looking for? He really brought me and my family in. Like, he brought us in like we were already a part of the family and treated us with very much respect, and I just loved him.
You know, we had George Miley on, who's probably 4 or 5 times larger than you are because he's a big offensive lineman, and he was a part of that weekend as well. I saw a picture of him at the table with Siaka Ipu, the defensive lineman from Utah, and they were eating like lobster tails and whatever else. What was your go-to meal when you had a chance to eat, Jordan?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, we had a huge crawfish boil, and that right there, I probably had 2 or 3 plates of that. And that was probably the best crawfish I've had in my life.
All right, so you see lineman, lobster, big.
Yeah.
Wide receiver speeds for crawfish, small. Even though it's a lot of, it's a lot. But like to get to the one lobster tail, you got to eat 15 crawfish maybe. So
yes, sir.
Is it worth that? Is it worth the energy?
Oh yeah.
And time to be able to eat crawfish? I always sometimes struggle with that.
Oh yes, it is. I mean, it's not that hard. Once you get it down, it's just like that. You just gotta squeeze, turn, and pull.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Did you have the potatoes and corn and sausage, anything else with it, or just straight up just a bunch of crawfish?
They had everything there. They had chicken wings. They had Mexican food. I mean, you name it. They had everything there. So, I mean, I did tear up the crawfish, but I had some chicken wings too, because that's like my favorite food in the world.
I love.
That's the one thing you always hear about official visits is there's a lot of eating, a whole lot of eating, whole lot of food.
It's like going on a cruise.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So Jordan, you mentioned Dave Aranda and how he treated your family with respect. What were your family's thoughts coming out of this weekend, and obviously with you wanting to go ahead and make your decision official? What did they think?
So my mom, from the time that I really got the offer, Baylor's always been a school that she thought very highly of. And so that's one school that she really had in favor of me going to. So she really, from the jump, just her talking to the coach, she had some real good relationships with every single one of the coaches. And my dad, after I got back from the Colorado visit, he liked Colorado. So whenever we first got to Baylor, like that first day, he was like, but after that second day, after we went and saw everything, met everybody, he just flipped like a switch and loved it. My siblings loved it. Like, it was really amazing.
You know, you mentioned those games at McLean Stadium. I know one of them was that 56-28 win against Temple that was a shootout that was emotional for Coach Spradlin as well because he used to be there among others. So when you played, so I always wondered when certain colleges host high school playoff games, how much does that matter that someone may want to come back and play there? Did that matter to you that once you played there a couple of times and had success, that mattered to you?
Yes, sir. I mean, it really did because it just showed me that, I mean, I've done it once. Why can't I do it again?
Good point.
And beat Temple and then Bridgeland again in another one. So you mentioned to me your cryotherapy. So is that how often do you do that? And obviously that helps heal or let you do what you need to do after a workout. You had a heavy workout yesterday, then you were doing cryotherapy. How often do you do that? How much? How does that feel? I've been in it one time. How does it feel to you?
It feels amazing. Cryotherapy, and I do yoga. I have a yoga trainer, so those two right there, those are like amazing. It really heals your body after like a real tough workout, just a real hard workout. You'll have your body feeling back right and healthy for the next one.
All right, Jordan, Nabors, Rockwall-Heath wide receiver, committed to Dave Aranda and also Baylor over the weekend. I saw one of the articles, I think Grayson might have written this up on you, that you watched and remembered even the days back when you were younger with Baylor and RG3. How much did that pique your interest as well when you were younger?
It did, because, RG3, he's a stud. He was probably one of my favorite college players ever when I was younger, and he's always been one that's just, for some reason, it's stuck with me. So, and Baylor sticks with him, so Baylor's always been there.
All right. Hey, enjoy the summer, Jordan. Appreciate your time. You have that opening game, South Lake Carroll. I know you played them last year. Man, you guys have a great schedule with Rockwall's on it and the district you're in as well. Skyline, I think, might be a part of that. I'm not sure. But good luck. Thank you for your time, and congratulations.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Jordan Nabors, Rockwall-Heath wide receiver, flat out can run. And as Craig, when he asked him about getting the ball in his hands in every way possible, hand it off, maybe the jet sweep, obviously different ways of throwing him the football, and someone that gave Baylor some pop over the weekend when it comes to the commitment with the official visits.
Well, he can play football. He can talk, too, in a really good way. He's easy to have a conversation with, and imagine he had an easy time probably getting to know a lot of new guys and whatnot this past weekend. But, it sounds like they hit it out of the park. You got 4 commits in the last week, less than a week, really, more than like 5 days' time. And, I think, Stuckey made his impact with Nabors. Mm-hmm. And I know there's help all around. It's not like this guy just recruits this guy all the time. But, Stuckey obviously had an impact with him. Dave Aranda, we're hearing more and more about him from recruits. And, again, that's not something they could do last year. Like, people criticized, his personality at times or whatever. And it's like the only time we ever saw this guy was on the field or in the post-game Zoom call. That's the only time we really heard Dave Aranda was in Zoom calls and on the field during a broadcast. And that's it. And so you can maybe start to kind of get the sense of like, hey, yeah, he's quiet, but quiet doesn't mean uninteresting. Quiet doesn't mean unentertaining. Quiet doesn't mean you can't build really good relationships, and Dave Aranda's clearly doing that. I think that's great.
Paula, by the way, on the direct message, love this kid, talking about Jordan Nabors. If he's doing yoga as part of his training, he will have incredible balance and strong as hell core, which, of course, is huge as well.
And probably less injuries as a result, too.
Possibility of that as well. When we come back, by the way, Texas is up. Was it 8-4, Paul? 8-4. They're taking control of that game with Tennessee, an elimination game at the College World Series in Omaha. The 4 o'clock hour will start with Kaian Roberts-Day, one of the ringleaders of the class of 2022 for Baylor. And this is SicEm365 Radio.
Travel is back. Hit the road with big savings during the summer savings event at Richard Carr. The road is waiting. Explore America again in the space, safety, and luxury of a Buick SUV. And during the Richard Carr summer savings event, current Buick or GMC owners get 16% off a new 2021 Buick Encore, 13% on Encore GX, 9% on midsize Buick Envision, or 13% on a full-size Buick Enclave. Summer travel is back at the summer savings event going on now at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
Pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Daniels 7 yards deep in his own end zone, and he's going to be sacked, and that'll be 2 points for the Bears. Terrell Bernard.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, we'll wait on Kaian Roberts' day. Baylor commit. He was the first, I think, to commit of the 2022 class, and one of the guys that's really been a huge part of what Baylor accomplished over the weekend and with this class of 2022. This little note, you're not using this one, are you, Craig?
No.
Okay. Paul, you'll love this. So there's going to be a tight end university. And George Kittle is and Travis Kelce are the kind of the ones that, and even Greg Olsen, the former NFL tight end, are the ones trying to kind of put this together. And it was really just kind of, let's see what happens. And they were blown away by how many different tight ends around the league responded. And one of those who was not included, and he should not have been included, and he should not have been invited, unless they would have had like 80 spots, was Tim Tebow. And, of course, there were some questions about why not Tim Tebow. He's never taken a snap at tight end in the NFL, and he hadn't taken many snaps as a quarterback either there. But having said that, he's worked out twice with Jacksonville, who'll be a part of their training camp this weekend. Travis Kelce and George Kittle. Kittle goes, hey, I want everyone to come because I want everyone to learn, everyone to get better. But we really didn't plan that every single tight end would want to come. We thought we were going to get like 20, 25 guys max. Next thing you know, there's 45 or 50. We ran out of hotel rooms, kind of ran out of space just in general. Hopefully we'll have more room in the coming years. And he also, by the way, said, if I can't invite every tight end, how do I not invite a second or third string guy on a team that's been playing tight ends?
Okay.
Bottom line is he didn't get invited. He shouldn't have been invited.
There's an entire article written about Tim Tebow not getting it. Like, give me a freaking break, man.
That's that bull crap with Tim Tebow. That's what drives me nuts. And it's not necessarily even him. It's the fact that, like, whatever he does, people should include him because why?
Nothing against Tim Tebow. I hope that he has an incredible I hope he has a great year, but it's hard for me. This is the point. It's hard for me to invite someone to this that just started playing the position when I can't invite a guy that's been playing it for 8 to 10 years. That's just hard for me to invite him.
Thank you, George Kittle.
No, but see, you're angry with Tebow.
No, man, that's BS. I mean, it's
story.
ridiculous. It's always he's treated differently than other people, and I don't get it. And I couldn't be a professional athlete or professional celebrity because I would just tell that reporter to go F himself. I mean, honestly. I mean, clearly trying to start something with that. And I would be like, why didn't I invite him? Because I didn't want to. Because I did not want to invite him specifically to my camp that I'm organizing and taking part in. It's really simple. And yeah, that's the downside to Tim Tebow for all that people want to prop him up for being such a good boy and being, so religious and all these other things that people praise him for that is common in pretty much everybody else across the National Football League, or the majority. For some reason, he's just treated like he does it better or somehow. And I don't get it. I've never understood the fascination with him. They tried to make Sam Ehlinger like Tim Tebow 2.0, and he was a shadow of what Tim Tebow really was. But this is why people don't like him. This is why I've never liked Tim why I wouldn't even say I don't like him. I just don't care for him is because of stuff like this. This is nothing. This is a big old nothing burger, but there's an entire article written about it. Like, are you kidding me? That's why I don't like Tim Tebow. And it's not really his fault, but golly. Slow news day, I guess.
There is blowback on people who get a lot of coverage, whether they've earned it or not. There's blowback for years and years on Tiger. That even when he was in a tournament and he was maybe he was very rarely out of the top 10, but on occasion he would have a tournament where they'd still show him. Well, the networks would show him because every time you put him on the television screen, people are going to stop and watch, like Bonds at bat back in the day. But it's kind of unfair to the athlete. Not that Tebow has ever kept it from happening, but it's kind of sometimes unfair. We get mad at the athlete because of what networks' decisions they make or others make, and in this case, they're having a tight end. I'd never heard of it. I saw the story, wanted to write it, and it's crazy.
Here's the thing about Urban Meyer signing him is a good little feel-good story originally, but he might not even make the team. And in fact, I would say the odds are low that he makes the team, makes the 85. There's 6 other tight ends on that roster, and Urban Meyer was doing an interview somewhat recently, and he's asked about the tight end position. He named 4 guys without mentioning Tim Tebow. So he might not even make the team. And, I'm sure he'd find a spot in the front office or something like that. I'm sure there's more to it than just hey, come try out and, then we're going to probably have to cut you or whatever. I don't know. But, I was fine without the Tebow mania for a while. It was nice when that ended and he went and played baseball and everybody stopped caring for about 5 seconds. And I don't think it's going to get to where it was because, again, I don't even think he's going to make the team potentially. But that is an example of one guy getting treated a lot differently than most people get treated. For sure.
And Paul, go ahead and try him again.
Yeah, and part of it is he does have a PR machine that he probably has nothing to do with other than just pushing. Tebow's in the news. It's our job to push him, and that's what happens. So again, I can't be mad at him personally for that, but that's just kind of what happens. And this one right there, why isn't Tim Tebow included? It's just such a silly thing for anybody to even ask.
I agree. I absolutely agree. We're going to try to see if we can get Kaian Roberts' day.
See, those are those reporters, though. Those are the same reporters that do those things all the time. They want to focus on the Tim Tebow aspect or the whatever. And so, the problem is as much reporters stoking that flame as anything else.
I probably didn't help.
No, it's fine. I wouldn't have known about it because I could care less about Tim Tebow, but maybe I would have seen that article. I would have seen that article and rolled my eyes at how just nothing or what nothing news it is that he wasn't invited to a camp. I can't even believe that was a headline that somebody actually said, yeah, go ahead and post that. But it's Tebow, so that's probably why.
We're now joined by Kaian Roberts, Dave Festus, high school athlete. Of course, can pretty much play wherever he wants, but he has absolutely blossomed and was at Baylor in Waco over the weekend. He was the first commitment for the class of 2022 to Dave Aranda and had himself a weekend. And I wanted to get Kaian. We had him on before, but I wanted to kind of just follow up with him and see how things are. He, of course, has more and more interest from other colleges and programs around the country, and he joins us now on SicEm365 Radio. What did it mean to you? And I know that you just finished your official visit with Baylor. What did it mean to you to be that first commitment Or does it mean much that you were the first commitment to Dave Aranda in class of 2022?
To me, it really means a lot to, like, you know, it's kind of like a first serve, like, type of thing to me. Is, you know, I haven't exactly been the most loyal with Baylor because, you know, COVID and stuff, trying to experience other schools. But it means a lot to me.
You have you and Zach Pyron are kind of now the chief recruiters of the class in the class of 2022. Are you enjoying that, like interacting with guys when they commit? Like we just had Jordan Nabors on, and I know that George Miley, you tweeted at him the other day when he committed. How much fun is that to reach out and meet your future teammates?
I think it's amazing. Like I like all those people that all the commit that's committed, and they're, you know, great kids to me. I don't know. It really meant a lot.
Kaian, what's it been like to have the recruiting process actually open up? Like you said, when you made your commitment, like everything shut down and there was no visiting last year for seniors, you know, none of this. So to have a weekend like this, and I know you've been around some other places, what's that been like?
You know, I always wanted Baylor to be like not the last one, but, you know, like the last one of the summer. So I was, you know, leading up to the schools will get better. So when I went to Mizzou was cool. Now Alabama was better, and then OSU was better, and then Baylor was really the make or break. If I was like, if I didn't like it, then I didn't like it. If I did, then I'm going to stay committed and, you know, continue my path there. I liked it a lot. I think like the people, I like the coaches, I like the players too.
Did it validate your commitment?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I'm going to go on another visit. I just want to get those other officials out of the way, and also who wouldn't want to travel?
Sure. So you're going to go to Hawaii on one of those two, right? I mean, one of those visits is going to be like Hawaii or whatever else. I'm kidding with you about that, but that would be fun. I had someone tell me that your photo shoot over the weekend at Baylor in pads was one of the most impressive things they've seen, and they've been doing that a long time. Did you just feel comfortable in that uniform?
I definitely felt comfortable in that uniform. It was I don't know, things just kind of like kept popping in my head.
How have you put on the 21 pounds? Just because you've gotten a little bit older? Weights, conditioning, appetite?
It's definitely me getting older. I think I'm, because I don't know, but you can look at me, I don't look fat. I'm just gaining a lot of, you know,
fat. Getting that good muscle, right?
Yeah.
I actually saw. Yeah, I think I saw Zach Pyron's brother, his younger brother, when we had Jordan Nabors come on. He actually tweeted at Jordan, "Go get it," or "Good luck with that." It's like, how have you and Zach tied in together, as Paul mentioned, as kind of the ringleaders? What's the responsibility with that?
I mean, if you were to be like technical, like, you know, Coach Grimes is like, he's the offensive coordinator, and he coaches the tight end. So he would tell me that, like, we like to see the tight ends become the leaders and like one of the best players on the field, which I truly do love a lot. Because right now I'm like, you know, sort of like the lead by example type guy at my school, and everybody kind of also uses me as like a monkey because they want me to tell coach everything or ask coach everything because they're too scared to talk to my coach. And then I don't know, I kind of like the leader of the class thing.
You mentioned tight end, so that's changed a little bit, right? That was always on the table, but athlete, wherever you were going to play, because it looks like you are so athletic and your size allows you to be very flexible with where you end up. But is that now kind of been zeroed in? Is that's going to be it? And Jeff Grimes is offensive coordinator. That has a lot to do with it as well.
Yeah, I kind of pulled it. I thought, when I moved back to my old school, which is Festus, I kind of thought I'd just be a running back. But my coach makes a lot of points. And he would tell me, he was like, you know, you probably wouldn't get as much money if you was in the NFL if you were just one-dimensional. You wouldn't be like a 3-down player or 4-down player. And, you know, as a tight end, you can block, you can go run routes. And so really you could do some wildcat stuff with you too. And I was like, I was just thinking, I could do tight end. I got to work on my hands. I got to work on my route running and all that, but it's getting better.
What has Jeff Grimes kind of said about your role and how he sees you fitting into this offense, or either him or any of the other coaches that you may have spoken with?
Hold on, there's a wasp in my room. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
He kind of like a I don't know. I mean, it's like it's just it's kind of what I'm doing now. Literally, it's like exactly what I'm doing right now. I'm a little line up as a receiver or be inline block or run routes from that inline position, and you know, just a versatile versatile tight end.
Well, there was a young man out of the University of Florida, Kyle Pitts, and I'm not trying to get overboard here, but you saw how he exploded up the ranks when it comes to the NFL draft, and he had a monstrous year, and was his size, his freakish athleticism. Did you watch much of him? Is that someone you would one day like to be compared to?
I two things. Yes, I watch him a lot because I'm not as tall as him, but I kind of like the versatility. I like the you know, the little receiver thing he does. I want to match my game receiving wise to him, and I don't know. I would say I'm more of a more versatile, athletic version of Kyle Pitts. Like Kyle Pitts can't probably jump as high as I can, or do the broad jump as much as I can. I'll be a better version. I want to. I wouldn't say that. I want to be a better version.
Right. So maybe Kyle Pitts, George Kittle, people like that. That combination. We're talking to Kaian Roberts-Day, Baylor commit from Festus High School in Missouri on SicEm365 Radio. How much? And we've heard a lot of things about Dave Aranda, and obviously the first year was difficult because of COVID. There was no contact other than Zoom, whatever, maybe calls. How much has he really taken control of this program?
It was like cutting out. Were you saying
how much of an influence did Dave Aranda have on you? We hear a lot. You know, he's a laid-back personality, but he's got fire in his belly. Can you, Paul? We got him. Okay.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear me, Kaian?
Let me call him back.
Yeah, I want to get this question about Dave Aranda because I get the impression that Dave Aranda was huge as well when it comes to Kaian Roberts-Day, and not just the commitment a year ago, but now following up and kind of reiterating. Kaian Roberts-Day joins us again from Festus High School in Missouri. How much has Dave Aranda had a role? And you hear about his personality, laid back. How huge was he in your commitment, and how much of a role did he play?
He is actually the first coach I've ever seen in my life, besides my high school coach, that is involved. Like he doesn't, like when I was with my first one with Mizzou, Coach Drinkwitz was involved. He was involved a little bit, not as much as Coach Aranda. And then with Alabama, Nick Saban wasn't, like, you know, he's professional, so I wouldn't assume he would be involved a lot. Then Coach Gundy, he was involved, just not as much as Coach Aranda. And Coach Aranda is like, he's trying to get involved. He's trying to make sure he actually himself personally has a relationship with his players and his recruits.
Kaian, what was it like to just be able to take these visits, take these trips, and be around others? What was it like to finally kind of live life again?
Well, when you say again, I've never done this before, so this is all new to me. But it was nice for me to kind of see new people, but people I know.
Right. Hey, congratulations. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it. Glad you enjoyed your trip and visit. Enjoy what else you got the rest of the summer, and we'll hopefully see you pretty soon. Great luck to your season coming up as well.
All right, thank you.
Kaian Roberts Day, Festus High School, tight end, athlete, Wildcat, all the various things. You could kind of feel that Jeff Grimes' influence, and obviously with Dave Aranda being heavily involved as the head coach. That's not always the case. That doesn't mean the others aren't, but how heavily he is involved. When we come back, we discussed a little yesterday about the Supreme Court ruling, that 9-0 ruling against the NCAA, or upholding a ruling from earlier, and the name, image, likeness is so much on the forefront. We're going to come back with Daniel Hare, Baylor sports law professor, next from Baylor University on SicEm365 Radio.
Travel is back, and so are the savings during the summer savings event at Richard Carr Motors. Get back on the road with the space, safety, and luxury of a Buick. Right now, Richard Carr has Buick SUVs all priced to move. Current Buick or GMC owners get 16% off new 2021 Encores, 13% on Encore GXs, 9% on midsize Envisions, or 13% on full-size Buick Enclaves. And they are also loaded with premium pre-owned cars and trucks. All pre-owns are priced to move during the summer savings event, with multiple cars and trucks priced under $230 a month for qualified buyers. And each pre-owned vehicle goes through a 172-point inspection before it hits the lot. With dozens of lenders, we say yes when others say no, and 100% credit approval is always the goal. Richard Carr Motors is your local hometown dealership. Give them a chance to earn your business with free oil changes on new cars and trucks, great prices, and superior service after the sale. Come by and take a test drive, or let them bring the test drive to you. It's a summer savings event going on all month at Richard Carr.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas. Our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive at 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
A lot of things going on. Just wait, and something will be added to the mix of what is going on legally when it comes to the NCAA college sports, and really a lot of things. Supreme Court yesterday unanimously affirmed a ruling on Monday. A 9-0 vote provides for incremental increase in how college athletes can be compensated and might open the door for future legal challenges that could deal with a much more significant blow to the NCAA's current business model. We're now joined again by a professor at Baylor, Daniel Hare, Baylor Sports Law, joins us on SicEm365 Radio with Craig Paul and David Smoak. Daniel, thanks for your time. We appreciate you for being a part of the show. We see the ruling, everyone, oh my God, but what in the end, what did yesterday actually mean for now?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it. And, that's the great question, right, is that it's hard to sometimes parse this out and know what are the practical implications of something like this. And I kind of had three big takeaways as I read through the opinion over the last couple of days. And one is, it was a very narrow opinion in terms of what was actually being ruled on in this case. In other words, by the time it got to the Supreme Court, we had carved out a number of things already. So really all the NCAA or all the Supreme Court was ruling on is, are these educational related benefits, things like computers and tutoring and grad scholarships and other things, are those allowed to be prohibited by the NCAA as additional expenses that are impermissible? And the court says no, that they can't do that anymore. When this case started at the beginning, it was about much more than that. It was about all types of financial aid and compensation, kind of the old, should we pay to play thing. That was not on trial here at the Supreme Court level. The student athletes had lost that at the trial court and chose not to appeal it to the Supreme Court. So it was a very narrow ruling in that sense, but only because that's not what was in front of the justices to hear in this argument. But the bigger picture is we hadn't had a case at the Supreme Court level since 1984 on antitrust with the NCAA, and it was as you said, that the NCAA is subject to antitrust law. The NCAA has been arguing for 45 years that it's not subject to it at all, that it can do what it wants because of amateurism, because it's not a commercial enterprise, quote unquote. The Supreme Court thoroughly rejected that yesterday and said, no, you're going to be subject just like any other industry, just like any other organization. You cannot unreasonably restrain trade. You can't price fix. And in this scenario, you did that, and so you have violated the law. So what does that mean? It means that as the NCAA is looking ahead to other policies and other changes they need to make, they have to know they are going to, every time that they do something or don't do something, it's going to be subjected to this heightened scrutiny, and they're likely to lose on a lot of these things. And so that's the bigger takeaway from it. And of course, then the biggest quotes that you got out of the day yesterday were from the concurring opinion, which is not the primary opinion. It's not the law that's going to apply, but Justice Kavanaugh wrote a concurring opinion that really took the NCAA to task. While the majority opinion was very narrow, very methodical, just sort of took what was given to them and knocked it down one by one. Justice Kavanaugh really went wild with kind of the big picture of the NCAA is going to lose a lot of these cases, and the pay-for-play stuff is likely to fall if it's brought before us next time.
Is the problem that the NCAA has legally, Dan, that they are they've been arguing this for 45 years, and 45 years ago, they probably had a more reasonable argument that they had a different model. But in 2021, that has changed so drastically that they need to move on past that and see where they really are.
You know, that's a great comment and a great question, because Justice Gorsuch, in the opinion, Justice Gorsuch wrote the opinion, he walks through that, and he talks about how when you're doing an antitrust evaluation, you have to look at the facts on the ground and the current state of the industry and the market. And I think that's exactly right, that in the past, that it may not be the case that the ruling was as it was today or yesterday. But as college athletics has grown, as it's become much more commercial, as there's so much more money involved, that matters. It matters. And it's not something that you just fix in time, the Yale versus Harvard boat race from the late 1800s that was the first quote-unquote collegiate athletic event. No, you have to look at where things are today. And as I think he wrote in the opinion, Justice Gorsuch talked about how, there's a lot of people making a lot of money off of college sports, and certainly a lot more than the student athletes that are generating much of this revenue.
What do you think the NCAA has just kind of let decisions happen? Like, it doesn't feel like they put up much of a fight, but what kind of, how could they react to where they don't go more of the way of being a professional league and stick more to the amateur side of things, although amateur is obviously not going to be the term used at this point. And I don't know if that makes sense, but how is this going to feel like college athletics and not pro sports in the future, or is it going to feel more like pro sports?
Yeah, it's funny because I think that Justice Kavanaugh addressed that to some extent in his concurring opinion, and he talked about how, if you start to allow more of this pay for play in whatever form that is, if it's the NIL stuff, if it's something else, then there are going to be issues that get raised that are problems. I mean, what do you do about the non-revenue sports? What do you do about Title IX? What do you do about, are there salary caps like you have, or compensation caps at all, or is it a total free market? What it comes down to is he says, look, those are all problems. Yes, but you can legislate these things. You can collectively bargain these things. It doesn't change the fact that the current system is illegal and can't continue. So you have to figure out something. And so, yeah, I mean, I think, and the other thing that they talked about, both justices talked about, which I thought was interesting, is, to your point, using amateurism or amateur as a way to describe what is unique about the college product. And that's really their whole argument, right? Is that the fact that they are unpaid amateurs is what distinguishes college athletics from professional athletics from the standpoint of the consumer. That's always been the argument. And so therefore, if you start paying them, the argument is that it will look nothing more than like a minor league professional system, and it will ruin the sport. It will ruin the product. And antitrust law is supposed to balance this out. You don't want to take away or diminish or ruin the product. But as the justice has said, you can't wrap up within the definition of the product something that is illegal, like price fixing, restraining wages is simply illegal in any other industry. And they go through it and talk about, I love this from Justice Kavanaugh, where he talks about how, if you get a bunch of restaurants together and cut the cooks' wages on the theory that customers prefer to eat food from low-paid cooks, or if you get law firms that conspire to constrain their salaries and just providing legal services for love of the law, you can't create a whole product system around that and call it good. And that's what the NCAA has been trying to do. So, yeah, I think they have a tough road ahead to try to distinguish the product from professionals, but at the same time, I think they're going to have to do it. And so, the NIL side of things, which is separate from this, although they're connected, it's separate from this. But certainly that seemed like the layup that they had 10 years ago to try to make headway here. They haven't done it, and they're up against it on that issue as well.
Daniel, do you have you ever seen much? And I don't keep up a lot of the Supreme Court decisions. Sometimes it's way over my head, but I keep up with some of them. But have you ever seen a judge, a Supreme Court justice, come out like Kavanaugh did and just blast someone? I mean, is that kind of rare?
So it's funny because what tends to happen, honestly, is it comes in situations like this, or often it comes in the dissenting opinion. This was a 9-0 decision, so we didn't have a dissenting opinion. But back when she was alive, Ruth Bader Ginsburg was well known for her dissent. And as was Justice Scalia before he passed, when the majority went a different way from him. And so he would have some pretty salty words in his dissents as well. So it's sort of similar here because you have this concurring opinion from Kavanaugh, which isn't the primary opinion. It's not binding law, although it's certainly going to be persuasive on a lot of folks. But no, it's not that uncommon to see in a concurrence or in a dissent some spicy language from one of the justices. Not at all.
NIL has a week before it goes into effect, essentially, Dan, and the NCAA has done nothing. They've begged Congress to do something, and that's like, two people without hands trying to pick up a ball. When it comes to that, what do you think they can do when it comes to the fact that there's going to be 6 states and probably more rapidly as soon as they can get bills passed doing this, and the NCAA just sitting and waiting for Congress to do something?
Yeah, it really just does. I mean, it just kind of blows your mind to watch. I mean, the O'Bannon case went on for 10 years basically on this subject, and they lost. They still have not figured this out. And to then put it on Congress at a time like this, is just another mistake. I mean, not that they don't need some type of national legislation, but that's what the NCAA is supposed to be for. I keep laughing at this idea of, well, we need a national standard. Yeah, that's what you're for, NCAA, is the national standard. If it hasn't worked, you got to fix it. Don't go to Congress. You're the national standard. But yeah, you're right. You've got 6 states here on July 1st that are going live with NIL programs. 19 more states have passed some version of NIL. Oh, by the way, Texas is one of those 6 that are starting here in July. And so, Congress has already said they're not going to get a bill, at least until the fall. But I think that's even optimistic with everything they've got going on. So, I think we're going to have this patchwork system. The Division I Council is meeting today and tomorrow to discuss what they could do. They were, I think, also waiting to hear from the Supreme Court to see how that might impact what they decided to do. And I think we're maybe expecting to see something on Monday or Tuesday next week, a vote of some kind on this, but it's going to be, probably temporary and pretty patchwork that's going to allow these 6 states to do what they're going to do, and then allow the other 44 to come up with their own either version, or schools within those states to come up with their own version of NIL until there can become a national standard. And, it's not ideal, but, at the end of the day, is everything going to fall apart? I don't know, but that's where they painted themselves into this corner. And that's where we're going to be.
Daniel Hare is a sports law professor at Baylor University on the NIL, the name, image, likeness, also the Supreme Court ruling. So to kind of just calm the waters a little bit, you could see this is coming down the track. Craig made some comments and opinions yesterday about athletes now, how much they do get. There was a time, and I'm 62 years old, get off my lawn, my God, they get a free education, whatever. But it seems like it has flipped the complete opposite with all of what they get. That's fine.
And this is more name, image, likeness that they're talking about. So This is just the ability to make money off your name is really it. But yeah, tens of thousands of dollars are spent on each student athlete every year, not counting tuition. Yeah.
Yeah. And all the things as far as tuition board, whatever. But this is not a ruling yesterday. Do you feel like, Daniel, they'll ever just be able to say, and some schools are probably doing a pretty good job of this anyway, here's an envelope. Like the Mafia, here's $10,000 for a running back or $150,000 for a star quarterback. You don't think it'll ever get to that legally, do you?
It's hard to say, honestly, at this point, because to your point, and actually in the opinion, Justice Gorsuch walks through this as a rationale for why this amateurism status or amateur deal is so amorphous, because he talks about how, at the beginning, it was exactly as you say, Smokey, that they would pass envelopes to folks and pay for players to move schools and move teams, in the early part of the 1900s. And that's how it was. And so when the NCAA came along and started to, legislate some of this, it was, okay, now we're going to pay for tuition. That was in the 40s. And then in the 50s, we increased it to include room and board. And then in the 70s, we said, okay, if you're a professional in another sport, you can play college in a different sport. And then in the 2000s and 2010s, we said, okay, now you can have full cost of attendance. And so it's continued to move and move and move. So what is, and at any point, have we seen a diminishing of popularity of college sports? I think most people would argue, no, we haven't. And so the idea that somehow, those incremental increases, to think that they would stop, moving forward, I think is a mistake. I think they will continue. And so you are running out of the creative little ways to add on more things, aside from the fact that, okay, we're just going to say, we can pay the players. I mean, that's kind of where we're almost out of the creative ways to compensate. Yeah.
Daniel, tell us about your podcast.
Well, I've got several. So, my podcast is for the lawyers out there, and so people can check that out if they want. But people for sure can follow me on Twitter at Daniel Hare, where I talk most about this stuff these days, and happy to engage with people there. It's an interesting time for sure, and this is a busy summer with all this. Supreme Court opinion and NIL stuff happening all at once. So I appreciate it, and would love to hear from folks.
All right. Hey, Daniel, good stuff. Thank you. We'll might be tracking you down as things continue to move forward, whether it's NIL or anything else with the NCAA. Thanks for your time. It's Daniel Hare. Appreciate him jumping on today. Mac Rhodes, by the way, will be tomorrow at 4:20. He could not make it today. It's been 3 or 4 weeks, and look forward to that segment with the AD at Baylor, Mac Rhodes, tomorrow.
If you took the revenue, not from last year because it was well under $1 billion because of, all the things that were canceled. If you took the revenue from the last, regular year of the NCAA, which is a little over $1 billion, and you divided that by the number of college athletes right now, each college athlete with all the revenue, that's not taken out to go pay for actually the stuff you got to pay for, take the amount of just pure money made, and you divide it by every athlete in college athletics right now based on the number I saw. Each athlete would get $2,500. $2,500.
Yeah. So that's why
that's the revenue. That's
not taken out
net.
Bowl. No, that. I mean, I think that's I looked up NCAA revenue.
Yeah, because aren't there 5,500 or 8,000 college athletes?
Yeah, 2019 it was a little over $1 billion. It was between 1 and 1.25 billion, and then last year it was barely over 500 million because of COVID. But it's been steadily rising, and so in 2019 it got to its highest level, but there's 500,000 student athletes in college in America. Now you're counting all levels obviously, and only one with two whole sports on one single level. All of college athletics, 2 sports on one level actually make money. But if you encompass everything, there's 500,000 student athletes in the country, give or take. So if you take that and you didn't take any of the money away from the pot, each athlete would get $2,500.
That's why I think the NCAA should have been way more out on NIL, because if they kept if they say pay the players, you're paying the coach $7 million at some places. Maybe Saban's going to be at about 10 by the end of this contract that he just signed. It's fine, but instead of the schools paying the players and divvying up that money, which again, like you said, you get in all these Title IX issues and why do they get more even though they make more and blah, blah, blah. And get out of the weeds. Just let the players go make money on their own. Yeah. NIL is not going to take any money out of the pocket of the NCAA. No. As a matter of fact, in certain instances, it might increase it because now you have a double whammy of investment. So
I'm curious, can they get sponsorships? What if, like, this is a thought I had last night. What if you're a guy who plays for a Nike school, but Adidas says, hey, we want you to do commercials? How does that work?
Well, I think the one thing I'm concerned about that would be the other way around, especially with basketball.
Yeah.
Where it's like, essentially what they've done is they've made everything, like we talked about this the other day, they've made everything that used to be cheating legal because now there's paperwork for it. You know, okay, Big Red Motors, okay, yeah, they can have cars and they can work here as promotional people. They can be endorsers, and Rhett Bomar didn't have to, have somebody clock in for him while he's taking a nap. Greg Hill, you remember Greg Hill, same thing at A&M, so all those things that happen, those can be legal now because they can be compensated endorsers. What I am worried about, though, is you look at the Nike or the Adidas scandal, what they were doing was funneling people to schools.
Yeah.
Well, what's to stop that from happening? Now, that's a small scale because you're talking about probably 15 guys a year who really would qualify for that kind of high-level recruit that you'd want to push your shoe. But what if they say, okay, you're signing with Adidas, you can go to Kansas, you can go to Notre Dame, you can go to, these are the schools you can go to, and then you have to, and of course, if you're the athlete, you have to understand that if I'm making this agreement with Adidas, I'm taking this money, and I might not be going to a school that I may want to go to because they're Nike, or vice versa.
I'm getting a headache.
Yeah,
it's a complicated big old ball of twine.
Yeah, I'm wondering who's going to be the first business to just screw up the whole thing by making it way too high of an offer, and then everybody's got to that's what I start thinking about. I mean, it's not my concern really, but who's the first dumb business that's like, let's go all out, and and then it just sets this bar that's going to be hard for
to bring back.
I mean,
the transfer portal. Look where it is now compared to where it was. Right?
Exactly. But who's the business that's going to go all out for Garrett Gilbert?
Yeah.
And then he winds up at SMU and not worth. I mean, look, he's a good player.
So let's say you give him $100,000 to go to. I'm just using Garrett Gilbert, $100,000 to go to Texas. He could have gotten whatever the demand would have been. He got it.
He should have owed.
Then he ended up leaving. Does he still? Is there a tie-in? You got to stay. Do the businesses?
Yeah.
You have to be here 4 years to get that money. It's $25,000 a year.
But the market always corrects itself.
I know. All right, when we come back, Craig's off the radar. David Helman, DallasCowboys.com, will join us today at 5, and much more to come.
How many of these college athletes are going to make me want to buy products anyways?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The younger kids, though, I'm sure it will have an impact. But I don't know how many. If I saw any Baylor player on TV, I'm not going to buy any more just because I saw Denzel Mims doing it.
Could RG3 have sold product?
He could have. Yeah. He could have during his height, especially.
Could Dede Richards?
Yeah.
She wasn't a superstar, but an All-American.
Yeah, but could Moon Arson?
No,
not really.
Yeah.
Lauren Cox, not really. I mean, so it's going to be the more out there characters that are probably going to be the ones that see the most benefit to this all.
Craig's Off the Radar is next. SicEm365 Radio continues.
Lance Donaldson is a local realtor with a unique perspective. And look, if you're looking to buy a home or sell the one that you currently have, look, you need somebody who's going to help you navigate this crazy market. And it's a crazy market right now. Lance Donaldson can help you do that. What I'll always say about him in every single one of these spots is Lance is an unbelievable listener. When you meet him, he's also a guy you're going to be friends with instantly. I just promise you that because that's just the kind of guy he is. But he's a great listener, and he's going to hear all those little things. He's going to pick out things you notice, and he's going to find a house that fits you perfectly. That's what he does. That's what he likes to do. He enjoys his job, maybe too much. I just tell you, he is enthusiastic about what he does. So give him a call, 254-214-3713, or online, lancedonaldson.exprealty.com.
It's the 4th of July sales event going on at Allen Samuels on the new 2021 1500 Ram Lone Star Quad Cab trucks. The three-peat Motor Trend Truck of the Year is built to serve with total values up to $5,250 or 0% for 72 months plus $1,000. Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco. Come see the Ram Lone Star Quad Cab during the 4th of July sales event. Visit Allen Samuels today or online at allensamuelsdcj.com.
Come by. Let's be friends.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Danning with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasoning, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar.
All right, welcome back, SicEm365 Radio. Taking a look at a few stories that are not part of our normal conversation necessarily. So we bring them up here to shine a little light on them, although I think this one would probably have gotten a little bit of attention. The college football playoff, we talked last week about the reformatting that's being talked about with 12 teams going from 4 to 12. 4 teams would have a bye. But the Board of Managers and Management Committee met in Dallas today, and they talked about this expansion model. Mississippi State President Mark Keenum, the chairman of the Board of Managers, said that the board has authorized the Management Committee to begin engaging with other important voices in an effort to iron out a format for an expanded playoff. They'll begin a summer reviews that will engage voices, including people on campuses like student athletes, ADs, faculty, athletics representatives, coaches, university presidents, chancellors, etc. So there's this working group of 4 people, Bob Bowlesby, Greg Sankey, Mountain West Commissioner Craig Thompson, and Jack Swarbrick of Notre Dame, and they are in charge of this, but they're making a little bit of progress, so I just thought I would mention that they are acknowledging there has been another step taken as far as that goes. Over the weekend, we've heard a lot about these stupid boxing matchups featuring YouTubers and those types of personalities against washed-up fighters, or in the case of some of these we've seen recently, MMA guys who do more than just punch, but just being forced into punching. And granted, they should still have pretty good odds against YouTubers, you would think, just pulling them off the street and whatnot, but that has not really been the case. We've seen straight-up tomato can fighters getting tomato canned, with some of them being guys who used to hold titles back in the day. But there was one, and it was not nearly as hyped up because it didn't involve some 20-year-old white guy on the internet, I guess. I don't know. That doesn't appeal to teens, I guess. Anderson Silva MMA legend fought over the weekend in a boxing match. He fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who is not as good as his father was, but still a longtime boxer. And the MMA guy actually won. Anderson Silva won this fight with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Split decision. He is an MMA first ballot Hall of Famer, but now he's won a boxing match as well. And this took place down in Mexico this past weekend. He was a big underdog. He had not competed in boxing since 2005 and only had 2 pro boxing matches coming in to the fight with Chavez Jr. So point for the MMA guy finally, as they've not really, boxing and MMA both have kind of been at the mercy of, in some ways, the celebrity culture. But nice to see a MMA fighter get a boxing win, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's weird that the new fad is like it's the first scene in Rocky 3 where he fought Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the fad now of boxing, and MMA fighters are kind of playing that Hulk Hogan role a little bit. And it's so strange to me. I'm glad for Anderson Silva that they finally did it. I do think, Craig, that we need to push the door swings both ways in that thing a little bit more. And then
what would
Craig
be more
wants
interesting?
Craig wants to see boxers do MMA and not MMA do boxing. In that, listen, learn how to kick someone. See what happens.
Or be kicked.
What would be more fun to watch? Floyd Mayweather in a boxing ring against a guy who has had at least 50% of his fight game stripped away before even entering the ring, because now you've told him he's got to wear bigger gloves than he's ever worn before.
Big ring,
no feet, no knees, no legs, no wrestling, anything. So you're just you're basically taking a guy who's got like 5 things and you're making him one thing. I want to see Floyd Mayweather in an octagon. I want to see him try to kick somebody. How would that not be way more entertaining than these exhibition boxing matches? It would be so much better, but you know why it won't happen? Because Floyd Mayweather won't do it. Yeah, these boxers aren't going to get in the MMA ring because they know it's not going to work out well for them. So,
well, I also wonder if this has anything to do with the fact that boxing, and this I believe is fair to say, rarely, how many matches, how many fights get your attention?
Errol Spence twice a year. Don't care about Pacquiao anymore. Don't care about Mayweather. I mean, the heavyweights right now, I mean, I'll be interested in, was it Anthony Joshua and the Big Gypsy?
Tyson Fury.
Yeah, Tyson Fury. That one I'll tune into, but for a long time I could have cared less about heavyweight boxing. It's just that now they've actually got a good group of guys at the top, but outside of that, I do not care.
I'm not saying there aren't some pretty good champions, but what I think it's the fall of boxing, the depth of boxing, that you're starting to see the crossover fights and stuff like that because they're trying to keep people's interest.
You know what I never understood about boxing, and I understand that like there are, back in the day, there are all these commissions and all these things. In some states they didn't have prize fight boxing because of gambling or whatever, so you could do it in the states that had, so it wasn't like a nationwide league or worldwide. But I never saw why there's not a league. Like why there wasn't a commissioner and why there wasn't a...
For boxing?
Yeah, like why there wasn't
Corruption.
a unified... Yeah, exactly. I mean, like why they couldn't get that done.
Well, because the promoters, and if you're a boxing aficionado, I used to be, I've said this many times before, I used to know every ins and out of every single person. I could tell you who the 5th-ranked middleweight was. I could. And he was pretty good. But I think the promoters became more powerful than anybody else. And when the promoters become more powerful, their job is to, of course, set up matches, fights, to make a lot of money. And boxing is, they have commissioners. They have state commissioners. Like Las Vegas, you hear about Nevada, the commissioner might say a guy can't fight or whatever. New Jersey. But I don't know. I'm not sure.
I think it's pretty simple. They don't have stars. Mm-hmm. They don't have very many stars. I mean... who all really, outside of boxing fans, know who Anthony Joshua is?
Are the UFC fighters now?
They're bigger stars, yeah. They're bigger stars except for the Mayweathers.
Why? Why?
Because I think it's more entertaining for 1, less corruption for 2, way more exposure for 3. And, there's just a wide variety out there.
And there's depth. There's pretty good depth.
Yeah, I mean, and if a guy gets knocked out, there's another guy who's the next big thing. In boxing, it's like so few and far between that we actually get the fights we actually want to see, that then those happen, and then it automatically turns into a rematch because, there's some controversy, and then it's 8 months before they fight again. I mean, I don't know how you enjoy that.
And say what you will about Dana White, I mean, but he runs it.
Yeah.
They have somebody who runs it. You can have your opinion on him however you want to feel about him, but
the only thing in boxing's favor is those guys make a lot more money. And that's part because Dana White does own the UFC. And there's been complaints about, that's why John Jones hasn't fought as much, is because he's got money complaints. But at the same time, that's Dana's business practice, and he's taken them from basically going out of business before he bought them to now they're publicly traded, so he knows a little bit about what he's doing, but that has been a source of some controvery as UFC fighters pay. In boxing,
good for Anderson
Silva. They get like $20 million, but it's cool. Anderson Silva's MMA career is over. He was a straight-up tomato can in his last few fights, and people were tired of seeing him in the octagon, disgracing his legacy. So good to see him have a little bit of success in something else. Texas 2021 wide receiver signee Keithron Lee was arrested in Bryan, Texas over the weekend. One report says that he has been suspended. Another report said that he was off the team already, although that can't be confirmed. I've only seen suspension, but he was arrested over the weekend where did that go? He was arrested over the weekend on charges of assault of a family member from this past Sunday. Had a small bond, but that was a note that I was going to have lumped in with the Jake Smith news, and Jake Smith is transferring, so a couple of Texas football notes there. We'll see what happens with Keithron Lee.
They really have stayed off the radar with a lot of that stuff. They had a couple of guys 3 or 4 years ago that got a little edgy. Some of them went to the NFL. There was a guy, Hill, the safety, whatever, but they, for the most part, have been able to stay out of that kind of a headline, at least for a while.
By the way, this is a tweet from Emiliano Carraccia, who is a European basketball reporter, and he has said Ishmael Wainwright is expected to play in the NBA next season. I am told the Raptors are the front runners to sign him. Ish averaging 11.8 points per game, 4.6 rebounds per game, and 2.5 assists per game with SIG Strasbourg.
Really enjoyed his interview with us about a month ago. That was fun.
So, and maybe, Ish was never a guy I thought was going to be an NBA player right off the bat, but that's why you go to Europe to get your shot.
College World Series, Texas won today against Tennessee, but NC State became yesterday the first team to beat the overall number 1 seed, Arkansas, and then the defending champions in Vanderbilt in the same NCAA tournament. They're the 4th team to face both in the same tourney since seeding began in 1999. So first team to beat the defending champs and the number 1 overall seed, and that's a heck of a team right there, the NC State Wolfpack. But did you guys see Jack Leiter pitching in a loss yesterday?
My God, he was unbelievable.
8 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 15 Ks, 123 pitches, and lost. Yeah. That's Yu Darvish right there. That's what that is.
Exactly
well, look, he might get drafted by the team that first signed
1-0. It was a 1-0 game.
The Rangers will be right there waiting for Jack Leiter.
Well, there's a lot of talk about who they'll pick, and some think that that's an obvious choice. And then there's, of course, Kumar Rocker. I think I'd rather have Leiter, but I don't really know their breakdowns all that well. Rocker seemed like a bigger deal last year, or 2 years ago, than he seemed like right here. But, that was something to point out because it was an incredible performance. And, yes, he very well may be the Texas Rangers pick when the time comes here pretty soon. And just to wrap it up a little bit, coming up elsewhere tonight at 7 p.m., it'll be Virginia and Mississippi State in the College World Series. That'll be on ESPN2, and that's the battle of the remaining unbeatens. Those are the only 2 teams that have not had a loss yet. So that's tonight at 7 o'clock. Also tonight, got Montreal Canadiens and the Vegas Knights. That series tied at 2 apiece. Game 5 will be at 8 on the NBC Sports Network. And then tonight in the NBA, it'll be the Clippers and the Suns. Suns leading that series 1-0 tonight at 8 on ESPN.
All right. Every Tuesday and Thursday at 4:45, Craig's Off the Radar. When we come back, Cowboys are getting close to being on the radar. They're probably always on the radar. David Helman of DallasCowboys.com is next.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. In a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T is board-certified physician consultations, will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Fitness for qualified buyer with $4,000 down to 2.9% DTNL extra. See dealer for details.
Travel is back during the summer savings event at Richard Carr. Explore America in the space and safety of an SUV or truck from Richard Carr. Savings like a 2016 Buick Encore for $148 a month, a 2017 GMC Sierra for only $318 a month, or a 2016 GMC Acadia for only $228 a month. At Richard Carr, 100% credit approval is always the goal. Log on or get here now and save at the summer savings event at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with David Helman of DallasCowboys.com.
Prescott trying to take advantage, going deep. Cooper, oh, one-hander! Are you kidding me?
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Ben Erlinson, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Here's Elliott. He will get it. Touchdown Dallas as Elliott fought for it and has his 6th of the year.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, this 5 o'clock hour starts with David Helman, DallasCowboys.com. He's so selfish. What a way to start an interview with a segment. Tennessee gets knocked out by Texas 8-4, and David Helman's already trying to lure the Tennessee baseball coach to replace Paul Maneri. David, you never lose an edge, do you? You're always on it when it comes to LSU.
Yeah, I mean that's the name of the game, my guy. Like, I don't care about anybody else, and I want LSU to win, and he's a damn good coach. So his season's over. Now it's time for him to be our coach. So hopefully LSU's, I thought their team jet's been flying around looking for a coach the last week or so. So hopefully they're en route to Omaha to talk to Tony Vitello right now. That would be great.
All right, David, if you had to guess right now or say right now, the starting secondary, including the nickel, I guess you're talking about 5 people, not 4. Those starting 5 right now.
Yeah, I'm boring in that regard because I think people really underestimate veteran playing time. You know, you're talking about guys that have been in the league for 4 or 5 years going against rookies. Kelvin Joseph, maybe the most notable rookie of all, didn't, have as much of an off-season program because he spent some time with COVID-19. So really, and I'm not saying it'll stay this way for the whole season, but when the season starts, I think it'll be really the veterans. Anthony Brown and Trayvon Diggs outside, Jordan Lewis in the slot, DeMonte Kazee at free safety. And, the team has really been working Jaron Kearse at strong safety during the spring, but I would guess it'll be Donovan Wilson by the time the season starts.
David, what is the difference between Jerry Jones and Mark Cuban?
Well, I'm highly qualified to talk about Jerry. I really only pay attention to the Mavericks as somebody that covers sports in Dallas. I am definitely not a Mavericks insider, so I can't get too deep in the weeds on Mark Cuban, but I have seen people kind of comparing them in light of everything that's going on with the Mavericks with their front office turmoil. I've seen people say that Mark Cuban is kind of the guy that people think Jerry Jones is, in the sense that, he thinks he's the smartest person in the room. Maybe that was fair of Jerry Jones, decades ago, maybe in the 90s, coming off the Super Bowl years, or even during those kind of disastrous years in the early 2000s before they hired Bill Parcells. I don't really think that applies to Jerry these days. If anything, he delegates a lot. He has a lot of voices that he talks to. If you follow this team closely, you should know by now that Stephen Jones really has a large amount of power in the decision-making structure, and obviously Will McClay is a hugely influential voice as well. So I do think that's interesting. People say things go in cycles, and, maybe we're seeing that with the Mavs coming off, arguably the most successful era of their history, maybe trying to find their way a little bit like the Cowboys did 15, 20 years ago.
David, what are your thoughts or expectations on Connor Williams heading into this season?
My thoughts, I don't think Connor Williams is amazing. I don't think he's like one of the best guards in football, but for a second-round pick, he started, basically every game of his career. He was the only healthy member of the line last year. I think he's been good way more often than he has not been good. And, maybe part of that is the expectation. Obviously the Cowboys have had Pro Bowlers and potential Hall of Famers on their line for most of the last decade. I certainly don't think he's in that category, but I think he is, for a guy that was picked, I think he was the 50th overall pick or somewhere in that range. I think he's living up to the expectations of what I would think. And, if he puts another good season together, he should get a nice payday in free agency. I don't know that he would set the guard market or anything like that, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's too expensive for the Cowboys to hold on to if he has a solid season this year.
Whose health is more important, Tyron Smith or Zach Martin?
I actually, somebody posed, I think it was my buddy John Machota posed that question for The Athletic earlier this week, and I think it's a really good one. And I think at this stage in their career, I think Zach Martin is a better player than Tyron Smith. I think if he's healthy, I think Zach Martin's the best guard in football. But I would still probably lean toward tackle just because, it's a cornerstone position. You're dealing with the edge rushers that are so good all over the NFL. Protecting Dak when he's in the pocket and just the physical style that Tyron plays with as well. I think if you told me, oh man, that's tough. If you told me I was going to lose one of those guys for a long amount of time, I'd rather lose Zach, but I understand how insane that sounds because, he really is that damn good. Preferably, I'd like to have them both, but I guess I lean towards the tackle position.
What are the reasonable expectations fans can have for this team in Mike McCarthy year 2?
A reasonable expectation is to win the division and make the playoffs. I don't know what happens after that, but I think what we've seen from the NFC East makes that a fairly easy question to answer because it's arguably the weakest division in football, certainly one of the 2 or 3 weakest divisions in football. The team that won it last year didn't have a winning record, and I know they've made some upgrades. They signed a veteran quarterback, but I think most people would be surprised if a team from the NFC East made a legitimate Super Bowl run. So you should be able to win the division, and then once you get into the tournament, who knows what happens? I can't put the Cowboys on the rung of Green Bay or Tampa Bay and say that they should be able to to put together like a run that would get them to the Super Bowl. But if this team isn't at least capable of winning the NFC East, I would call that a disappointment. I mean, all we've been saying for the last 2 or 3 years is how much talent they have. They just signed Dak Prescott to this huge deal. And they're not a perfect team by any stretch, but they should be good enough to win this division. I think that's perfectly realistic.
Don't take this wrong, but when you hear they have so much talent, and you see it, you see the skilled people, but you also see the others. Some of them have gotten older, banged up as well, the All-Pros, the Pro Bowls, future Hall of Fame offensive linemen. But is that sometimes true? Is that sometimes because of the star on the helmet of the Cowboys that they seem to have more talent than they really do, or is that legitimate across the board?
I think everybody falls into a sense of being in a bubble, right? I mean, we talk and follow this team way more closely than any others. And so, yeah, you run the risk of falling into that trap. And yes, the Dallas Cowboys get overvalued. I was talking to somebody about the other day that, unfortunately for Cowboy fans, like, this team's never going to sneak up on anybody ever. Like, you're never going to get to the midpoint of a season and people are like, oh my God, the Cowboys are actually pretty good, because the minute they start stringing wins together, the entire nation loses its mind. I mean, that just comes with the Cowboys. All of that said, I do think that there's legitimately good talent, a lot of it, on this team. Is Tyron Smith still the best left tackle in football? No. Is Amari Cooper the best wide receiver in football? No. Is DeMarcus Lawrence one of the 3 or 4 best edge rushers? No. But all of those guys are in the upper echelon, top 10, 12 at their position. And then you have a quarterback in Dak Prescott who is definitely top 10 and seems like he's poised to be among the top 4 or 5 here in the near future. So, yes, I think it's fair to say that they get overvalued a little bit, but I also firmly believe that there is plenty of playoff caliber talent on this roster.
What we hear a lot about Randy Gregory, he's grown up, he's matured, he's also bounced back and obviously shown resiliency, and they've shown incredible patience with him as well. When you saw what you could from him, the feedback, the raving about him, what would a full throttle Randy Gregory mean to that defense?
Oh man, I mean, that full throttle Randy Gregory is something that I don't even know if we've ever seen. So it's hard to say. I mean, we're talking about a guy who had the talent to be a top 10 pick in the draft. Mm-hmm. It was purely his off-field and focus concerns that led him to fall. And so, I mean, again, not to overhype, but if he was able to play up to the level of expectations that were on him when he was a draft prospect, it could be huge. If he is capable of tapping into that, again, going back to what I just said, do the Cowboys have the best duo of edge rushers in the league? If Randy Gregory is tapping into that potential, probably not. But I certainly think they would have one of the, best 5 or 6 pairs of edge rushers, because Randy Gregory hitting on all cylinders is certainly capable of double-digit sacks, I think. Not saying he's going to do that. I have no idea. I just know I'm really excited that he has a chance. He's had a full off season. Doesn't seem like there are any distractions that could get in the way of him having a productive season. And we'll see. It's an exciting year for him. I mean, I think we talked about this a week or 2 ago. He's finally in a contract year. Mm-hmm. He's in a position to set himself up big time if he has a big season. And obviously, if he's capable of doing that, it could go a long way to making this defense a lot better.
Do you have a clearer idea of who's going to be playing between him and DeMarcus Lawrence?
For my money, I think that's the most interesting, or at least maybe the most unpredictable position battle, because, like I just said, I lean toward the veterans in the secondary, and they'll find a way to shuffle these linebackers to the point where most of them are going to find ways onto the field. But then you look at the defensive tackles. Tristan Hill's still coming back from his ACL injury. Neville Gallimore was promising in the second half of last year, but he's certainly not a Pro Bowler or anything like that. And then they brought in these veteran guys. Brent Urban has had a long career for several teams. Carlos Watkins spent 4 years in Houston and has played a lot of football. And then they drafted 2 guys in the top 100, Oso Odigizua and Chauncey Golston, who are both, Odigizua is a true 3 technique, and Golston's kind of a flex guy, but he's capable of playing inside. So they've committed some resources to that position, even though they already had Hill and Gallimore on the roster. So, I think if you made me guess today, I would say Gallimore and Urban are like your starting defensive tackles at the start of the season. But I don't feel confident about that at all, and I think that'll be a really interesting battle when we get to camp.
Thank you very much, David. David Helman, DallasCowboys.com, Tuesdays at 5 o'clock in the 5 o'clock hour. No John McClain this week. He's in Florida.
Oops.
What?
I made his open just out of force of habit.
Oh, yeah. No. And again, Mac Rhodes will be tomorrow among some other guests that we have today. How about this note? This is from Brian Spillbeeler. Just saw him pop up on Twitter. 1,164 football transfers, matriculation commitments this cycle. The top 9 schools, we kind of did it a little bit, but this is 9, includes a school I had not seen before. Tennessee, Kansas, North Carolina. These are the ones leaving. Yeah, the ones have lost the most. Michigan State, 4. Azusa Pacific, 5. Mississippi State, Oklahoma, Michigan, and Temple.
I don't even think Azusa Pacific should be counted in that. I mean, that's a nothing school compared to the other 9 or 8 that are mentioned there. But yeah, I mean, that is interesting. That's just a whole different ballpark, Azusa Pacific recruiting versus Oklahoma, Tennessee. People leave there, they go to another Azusa Pacific type of school. You leave Tennessee, you may go to Michigan, but you may end up at SFA.
Well, you leave Tennessee, and if you're a good player, you wind up at Oklahoma or Alabama.
Exactly,
I do think it's weird that, like, you say that, like, nobody's, like, if you look at anybody's, rivals profile right now, it wouldn't be Oklahoma, Texas, Michigan State, Tennessee, and Azusa Pacific. None of those coaches, if you went to them on your recruiting trip and said, listen, Azusa Pacific is hard after me. Okay, kid.
Yeah, that's kind of wild to see them listed there. But, I mean, I guess I don't know if they've had I don't know anything about them. So I don't know if they've had a coaching change or what.
I bet it's a beautiful campus.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
You are elitist.
All right. Pepperdine's also a beautiful campus, but I don't know if I want to go to school there.
The top 10 most popular destination schools from the transfer portal. Deion Sanders and Jackson State won.
I bet that's all on the up and up, too. He's made a point to do the whole HBCU, thing, and that's obviously, led to 3 or 4 guys that I've seen who would probably end up at a Big 12 or SEC school and instead ended up at Jackson State. We'll see how long he lasts there before maybe, jumping up to the D1 level. But he is, cooking with some grease right now.
Western Kentucky, number 3, Michigan State, number 4, Texas State. Their entire roster's loaded with transfers.
Michigan State is also on the other list, so they had to get a bunch of transfers just to be at 85 scholarships. Texas State's had a weird...
well, the coach even who is the coach there? Is it not Pivoto? Is it?
No, it's.
He basically said, we're just going to start recruiting the transfer portal.
That was not who said that. That was Kleiman from Kansas State who said that.
He said he's going to have 25% or 30% of his. Number 4 or 5, UNC Charlotte, Arizona 6, University of Louisiana. At 7, is that Napier? Not sure if that's Napier or not. Utah, 8, Charlie Brewer's there. Texas has a couple of players there. Western Illinois, and they've been involved in that NCAA, the football championship division.
Spavital is the coach at
Spavital. Texas. And North Texas. How about that? That Phil Bennett,
Yeah, that's what I like. By the way, Azusa is just east of Los Angeles. I'm sure.
Some more inland, yeah.
Yeah, it's more inland. It's still a poke from Riverside, I would think, there, Emma. I mean, a little bit.
Sort of, kind of.
Yeah, and so, I don't know. I mean, it's a private evangelical university, so I'm not sure why so many people are bailing from Azusa Pacific. But
by the way, this is another note, and this is kind of analytics as well. Spillbeeler negates the argument that portal guys are transferring back home. 69% left the home state for past school. 72% left home state for transfer school. 88% left past school state for transfer.
Yeah, that sounds like a really weak argument somebody who's all for the transfer portal made up to make it sound like it wasn't that big of a deal, when in reality the numbers show that, yeah, your argument holds absolutely no water because it is not showing that guys are going back closer to home. And, I mean, yeah, Charlie Brewer, guess what's closer, Austin to Waco or Utah to Austin? He went farther away,
Yep.
That's for sure. The Texas guys who went to Utah, they went farther away because one of them was from Duncanville. So, yeah, I mean, it's spreading guys out even further. But I don't know. It's something that I think everybody's just kind of gotten used to at this point. It hadn't been the end of, college football. Just I don't think name, image, likeness will be the end of it. It just provides a little bit of a change to the festivities, and I don't know if it's been good or bad. I know Baylor's benefited from it. I know they've also wasted some scholarships on some of these guys with little to no impact. So it's, like anything else, it's still recruiting. That's all it really is. It's just recruiting done later on in a guy's process is all it is, really.
Yep. Also, Jeff Goodman reporting that Kevin Samuel played basketball at TCU, big man, has committed to Florida Gulf Coast to play for them.
Enjoy Fort Myers, young man.
When we come back, text line open 254-339-1122. Also update you on a couple of the other stories we had today, including the one on Jared Butler. Get some feedback on that. Daniel just said, on the text line, Azusa Pacific is Division II. So we appreciate that, Daniel. Thank you very much.
The campus, by the way, you mentioned it's pretty, and it looks very nice, but it does look like the campus you would see in like if you were watching like a commercial for a skin cream, and it's like, this will not, and you're just guys trying to be a college professor, like, my plaque psoriasis is not going to slow me down. Like, that's what it looks like.
Okay.
Probably have shot some commercials there, actually. I mean, with its proximity.
Yeah.
Good chance.
This is SicEm365 Radio. The CBD selection available now at Don's Humidor and Coffee Beans in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco includes joint pain, muscle aches, anxiety, stress, and sleeplessness. Also, the new flavor of the month for their coffee beans. Every month they bring a new flavor that we have never had before, that they mix up a selection, and they'll, of course, unveil it each month with their coffee. Got to get Chancey Stuckey in on that. And Father's Day, of course, is gone, but 4th of July is coming up. So if you need cigars for a reunion, golf trip, Independence Day, whatever it might be, or you just like to smoke cigars no matter what, they have 48-foot walk-in humidor with Ashton and Macanudo and Romeo and Julieta, and also Padron and Cohiba, and, of course, my favorite, the Rocky Patel Torpedo Edge Light. So, if you smoke cigars, if you could use that CBD for any of what I mentioned, muscles, the aches and pains of muscles, joint pain, anxiety, stress, and sleeplessness, the Vita Dreams is what I recommend. Don's Humidor, tell Carol and Ashley and Cheyenne, Smokey sent you, in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 superfan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
All right. We'll have Paul's, that segment near the end of the show is what I call it. It offends Jack that I say that.
Jack is really saucy today. I don't know what his deal is. It's a bitter, angry young man. I don't know.
Found out why Azusa Pacific is on the list for those departing. They're not playing football anymore.
Oh, okay.
See,
but what does that say? That they're like midway down the list. There's 4 or 5 teams ahead of them.
Yeah.
They're giving up football.
Because what other reason would they have to be mentioned? Yeah, so that, of course.
Daniel Acton, man, you're the best. Thank you. You and Scotty B. They aren't playing football anymore. 2020 was their last, so there's a reason.
But Tennessee still has more transfers. That's a good point, Smokey.
Yeah. And that team is giving up football, and they have less transfers out in the portal than 4 or 5 schools ahead of them, including Tennessee. That's nuts. That's nuts. How about this story? This happens all the time. And it doesn't happen just to private schools. That would be unfair to that. But state of Louisiana, Catholic High School in Baton Rouge announced they're giving up 2 state titles and 2 runner-up titles. They've tried to combine private and public schools. Texas, with the Jesuit, Houston, and also Dallas, they've now been a part of, the state of Texas UIL. Not everyone. Well, there's private schools in Waco and around Central Texas that are not a part of the UIL. Florida's done that, where they just all merge together. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it creates a problem.
Well,
so this team, they basically have been found to have cheated for years.
Yes.
And here's another. In Louisiana, now they think, our good friend Scarborough, who covers LSU, says that this is going to impact going further, or in the future, the public and private schools trying to play in the same ballpark.
I'm curious to see what they're, because here's the thing, and I'm not trying to take a stand on this as a product of Catholic education, but if Catholic schools don't recruit, because they are private schools, you have to go out and recruit just regular students. You have to convince people to, you can go to school for free, you can pay for it. So if they don't recruit people in at least some sense, they're not going to they can't survive.
Now, why can't they have the private schools can only have, they can recruit people within their school district or the district that they're in?
The problem is that sometimes where the school is located, again, like where they, well, I guess you would have to shrink the school, so that's not maybe what they want. I get they're having.
They want to be able to go.
They're clearly trying to have their cake and eat it too here, but
that's
look,
America right now, man.
But so they're trying to have their cake and eat it here too. But I'll just give you the example of St. Thomas Aquinas in Fort Lauderdale. It's not even clandestine what they do. I mean, they just come on here. Like there are kids that go to school there that live 40 minutes away. And because they live in terrible neighborhoods and they're good athletes, and the school gives them a chance to come and play there and not have to pay the high tuition bills that everyone else does. And the state of Florida really doesn't do much about it. So I guess it just depends on your individual state and what they do. But I'm wondering what the public schools thought was going to happen when they did this.
Yeah, like, for example, Catholic high school respects the confidentiality between, and they're kind of keeping maybe the actual allegations. They'll come out. Bottom line is,
Catholics are keeping a veil up? No way.
Yeah.
No way. Well, what are they going to say? Yeah, we cheated. So what? But
revealed multiple rules violations. We all know what those are.
I'm not sure that we've admitted wrongdoing in the Crusades yet. So
exactly,
it's going to be a while.
The Catholics are not going to admit any wrongdoing. Period. This is not going to happen. So just don't say anything, and everybody can figure it out. But I do not like the mixing of private and public. I don't like the homeschoolers going to public schools to play sports. So we've had that conversation. You ask why? Well, the education is better. Well, then maybe your private school should launch a football team, or maybe you should start a homeschool league. Why does it have to be the top that's what bothers me, is why does it have to be the top level? Why does it have to be the homeschool kid gets to go wherever he wants to, and why can't it just be like, hey, let's figure out a way to where we don't interfere with what's already been going on and start our own thing where it's all by the same rules and everybody abides by. But no, they want to be able to have their own set of rules and then go play with everybody else who has to play by a different set of rules. And that's bull. That's total bull. And I don't like that argument, because the education might be better. I don't know that every homeschooler is getting a better education than they are in public school. I can see why that probably is taking place, but I also know they're not going through all the rigors of an everyday school schedule either. So they're not going to the cafeteria to eat lunch. They're not going to actual practice period. They're not going to Spanish class. They're kind of doing it all rolled up into one, and then, ending up with a lot more free time than your average high school student. So, I'm all for private schools or homeschoolers playing. I just don't think it should be at Cedar Hill or Midway or Temple where these kids actually go to class. And I don't think that schools who have players who live within a certain amount of blocks of their district or whatever should be competing against a school who's in Dallas but has players from Austin and Nacogdoches and Longview and Shreveport. Why would you want that? Unless you are on the side of just having the competitive advantage, why would you want that?
Let me ask you guys this, and I know you'll shred me if I need to, but aren't we now and I know this is not, aren't we now in a situation where everybody wants what is best
for them,
and they want it without rules and or free?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And here's the worst part.
And without working for it,
there are people who believe that should be the case.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And have their back, or they want. And it's not a political statement.
Well, no, a lot of people have been conditioned, though, as well.
And we live in a
we want to be able to go to school whenever the hell we want to and teach whatever classes we want to. But we don't want to have to walk into a school and be taught by teachers because we think we're better than the teachers, but also at the same time, but we all want to play football for this school.
Yeah, your
and
teachers,
we should be able to.
Your teachers suck. Your facilities aren't any good. I've got better at my home school, but that football team, that's where it's at. How does that make sense to anybody? Nothing else about the school appeals to you, so you don't go there, but you want to play on their football team? That doesn't make any sense.
There's good families, good students, good people who are homeschool students, but you know that going in, that if here's another thing, this is your choice, but here are the consequences. You can be a homeschool student and a family, but you cannot do this. And you can make that choice. So if you want to do football, soccer, whatever, you can't do this.
Well, that's kind of what you were saying. People want the freedom to do whatever they want to do. And ultimately it boils down to being able to do whatever you want to do without any consequence whatsoever. Like, I should just be allowed to go play for Tyler Legacy, even though I go to homeschool. Well, why? Just because I want to? Like, just I deserve. Like, I don't know. I know what you're saying though, and I don't know if it's a thing on society or whatever. But
I think
I don't. I mean, this is such a small slice of society that I don't really know that I would broadly, brush the entire country that way. But there is a problem with that right now for sure. And the homeschool you brought up, like, well, I know there's good. It has nothing to do with the kind of person you are. It has to just simply do with the fact that one kid's going to class 7 periods a day, busing to school or whatever, and then he's sticking around and going to football practice. Your kid's at home done by lunch and then going to football practice.
Okay,
I just don't, tell me how that is the same. It is not the same, and you shouldn't just be allowed to do the same as another guy just because you want to.
I do think it's interesting especially when you talk about
let's not forget the main story.
Yeah,
here.
but like the rules in each state, are all different. But here in Texas with the homeschoolers, that class at the morning when they all work out, that's an actual class that the other guys are in. That's your athletics period. So you are sending them to one class, because I know if you're a homeschool kid that's the quarterback on the football team, you're not going to skip the morning practice. The coaches aren't going to want that. There's sticky wicket there. But back to, and to give it, there's, I'm
so wait a minute. You're saying you can be a homeschool student and go about your business how you want, educate how you want, but there is a class at school that's an athletics period that, we want to go to that one.
Yeah.
Because we're a football player.
Yeah, I mean, so I fail to see, even if a coach went full in on this and look, we got this homeschool kid. I mean, that's Tim Tebow. I mean, that's why Tim Tebow, I think that's probably why the high school in Jacksonville or St. Augustine, wherever he's from, Jacksonville, said, yes, let's do it, because the kid was awesome. So yeah, let's do it. Let's let him in here and he can come and play football here and then, go about his business. But I don't think there's many coaches that would be like, well, we can't have him at the first period class because our classes aren't good enough.
But I'll say this as well, and this is no different than recruiting. This is no different than a lot of things. But I wonder how many Texas high school coaches, and I love the High School Coaches Association, but I think it's a fair question. How many of them, when homeschoolers are allowed to start playing at schools without attending them, will find out about some young man or woman who's really good, and, I guess everyone else is doing it.
Well, I mean, Duncanville's already had 2 guys from Corsicana magically appear in their school district in the last few months. So, yeah, I'm sure they would find the homeschool kid as well. I mean, cheaters are going to cheat. I mean, that's the bottom line. You can't prevent every little thing, but you can prevent that by just not allowing it in the first place because they don't go to your school. So go to the homeschool league or go to a private school, and I know, well, okay, financially, but we can't, break this all the way down to where we're talking about individuals here. I mean, just in the grand scheme of things, I don't like it. As far as, the story that you're talking about, if I'm, a school that doesn't recruit, why am I playing schools that do? How much sense does it? Who would have fun watching a Texas State championship game? And I know that Duncanville gets incoming transfers or Midway or whoever. That happens. Temple's got a guy this year, right, that moved in or something that's supposed to be really good. People do move around, and that just does happen naturally. But I want to see Duncanville Cedar Hill. I want to see Duncanville Austin Westlake. I don't want to see Duncanville versus St. Francis Episcopal, who's got kids from all over the state, and then 2 from Oklahoma, and 1 randomly from Florida, and 1 from Tennessee. Because that's IMG Academy. IMG Academy doesn't play in the Florida School League. They play the national teams or whatever. So, yeah, go ahead and play your football, but you're just not going to play for a state championship in Texas. I think that's very simple.
Yeah.
I don't know the argument for them being allowed to play for a state championship.
Yeah, I think what
is the argument for it?
Yeah, there's not. I think the argument in some states were that some schools were, so if you didn't have, in Florida, you didn't have a private school league because there was if you did that, there would have been 8 schools that could have reasonably played against each other, and then everyone else, you had to be in these districts with one school that had 800 kids and another school that had 100. And so you couldn't compete. So they, and because they didn't think it out. But that's just how it was, the population.
There are rules, and if you don't want to play by the rules, you can't be a part of that district, that conference, that league.
So that's why in Florida they said, okay, well, you're part of the whole pie because, again, there's a a competition difference here. But then again, so then those schools start recruiting. Of course, Florida's a mess now anyway. They essentially don't have districts, and you just
same as California.
Yeah.
They just all end up going. All the best players go to private schools.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they do over there, and I don't want to see Texas become that. I don't want to see Texas become where.
Well, I say that.
Fort Worth Episcopal is just loading up with 20 of the top 25 rivals Texas 100 guys.
Let me tell you something. They have been able to watch, and there was the concern. There's no way we can let this happen. Dallas Jesuit, they've done a good job. They remember that was Emmett Smith's son that played there. They beat Longview a couple of years ago, or 2 or 3 years ago, but they've kept them within the bubble. At the same time, we know that even the public schools have their loosey-goosey rules on transfers and all that, no matter what school district we're talking about. But Texas is going to do everything they can. But this homeschool thing that passed, a month ago or so, or whatever, I'm still not sure how that works out or how it affects the upcoming season. 254-339-1122.
All right, it says Ryan and Mark, but I don't think that's going to be it. Ryan, you're on SicEm365 Radio. Thanks for your call.
Hey, guys, Ryan and Martin again.
Okay.
I'm really fired up about Matthew Meyer coming back. I think Baylor could easily make an Elite Eight run, barring any serious injuries.
I agree with you. I think their roster is set to the point where his experience will get them back in the fold. I think he was kind of the X factor, and I don't think any of us thought he was ever going to be in the NBA. He needed a season of being a starter.
Let me tell you this. They're a hell of a lot better with him. They were good without him. They were still going to be really, really good, but they are better because he's on the team. No question about it. I agree.
Well, I agree, guys. I agree. Quick question about the Baylor summer. How have the football two-a-days been going, and do you think it's been good for these guys to finally have summer practice after last year's COVID summer?
Well, they have.
Also, what do you think of?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry?
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you think of Jackson Shupp moving from defensive end to tight end?
Who?
Jackson Shupp.
Jackson Shupp.
Yeah. Is he the one that was a walk-on from Katy or the Woodlands? Is he the one that's the defensive lineman that was a non-scholarship player that received the scholarship?
Was Bray Nutley.
Oh, okay. Well, let's go back to the I don't think have they started? They haven't started that yet.
They might be
on
lifting
campus.
They might be lifting weights and stuff. But
I don't know.
I'll
be honest with you, I would be answering a question by guessing. I don't know exactly what workouts they're doing right now on campus.
Yeah,
we just mentioned that the fact that they've had these weekends, these visitors, unofficial, every day this week. Someone's on campus. Yesterday, I got a text from Toby Foreman, Shoemaker, Omari Hines. Is that right, Craig? Evans. From Shoemaker High School. He was on campus along with another Shoemaker, Gray Wolf, and Coach Foreman told me they had a great time. Every day is busy, and it's whatever day you have something today or tomorrow or yesterday or the weekend is you had none of that last year, so it has to be better.
All right. I'm a little nervous about this. Armstrong.
Well, when you say that.
Well, thanks for the phone call. We do appreciate it.
Mark and Mark, thank you so much.
Yeah. Armstrong, give me a thumbs up or down here. Do you think this was just an error on the screening part? Okay, all right, good deal. All right, Greg, I'll show you in a second, Smoking. You'll know what I'm talking about. Greg, you're on SicEm365 Radio. Thanks for your call.
Hey, guys, it's Greg Barnes. What was the error?
I can't say it on the air, what popped up on the screen when your call came up. So that's when we were concerned. So we just wanted to clear it and then let you call back. So.
Oh, okay, because y'all hung up on me. I was a little sad. I got a couple questions for Smokey, and then I got a question for Paul. So, for Smokey, how was your vacation? You go fishing? You catch anything?
I went to Florida to see my brothers for 3.5 days. I had a great time just sitting there on the beach in Florida, smoking cigars and enjoying my brothers.
What kind of cigars do you like? I like Drew Estate, them Java ones. Those are pretty good.
Those Java ones are pretty good. You're exactly right. But the Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua has started to become one of my favorite cigars.
Hey, they got a pretty good cigar shop down there in Key West. I can't think of the name of it, but they got some key lime infused cigarillos. Those are pretty good.
I bet they are.
Uh-huh. Yes, sir. Well, Smokey, what do you think about Nikki Collins? What do you think her legacy is going to be? Do you think she's probably going to be the best women's basketball coach in history? Or?
No, No,
What?
I don't think that's fair to even ask that question. Not that you're not asking a legitimate question. It's just I've only met her like twice. I've sat down with her, never. I saw her at a speaking engagement. I know that they're grinding, trying to find players, and they're bringing some people in, but they got a long way to go. The core roster, most of it's back, but they lost a lot of people. I have no idea what to expect. I do think that they're going to be good. I do think they'll be a top 10 team. I don't know if you can automatically just write down 35-3 like you could for the last almost 20 years. I don't know if that's fair, although that will be the expectation because that's the history and standard at Lady Bears basketball.
Yeah, she's got a lot to live up to, huh?
Absolutely. She does. I mean, shoot. I mean, it's like whoever takes over for Nick Saban at Alabama, right? I mean, that's what it's like. Except that with Kim Mulkey, she was the only really successful coach in women's basketball at Baylor because she's pretty much the, Sonia Hogue, among some others. But no, I have no idea what to expect. I do think they'll be good. I still think they need to add another piece to the puzzle. I don't know if there's another piece to add, though.
All right, Greg, what's your question for me?
All right. So, Paul, Raiders D-line Carl Nassib became the first active NFL player to announce that he's gay. You being a part of that community, what do you think?
Well, I'm not. I'm not. But good for Carl.
Wait, you're not?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
I've traveled with Paul for a long time. I don't think that's unless he's putting on a show.
Yeah, no. This is an awkward moment for me and you, Greg. I'll just tell you.
How did you have two children? Were they in? I mean, so no, okay. But what do you?
What in the world just happened?
You were. You were asked a question about.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm not. Listen, I'm not part of that community.
All right.
As a
Let's be honest about this one. Didn't we discuss this earlier about him?
Yeah, and we discussed it yesterday. Great for Carl. Great for him being able to live his life. And
how did Craig escape that phone call?
I guess I just don't tolerate people.
You know why? Because Craig would be Here's the thing.
Shut up, bye.
Let's discuss this, though. It's a story. It's been out there. The jersey sales are out. They're all good. My question is, what impact does it have on pro football?
I think it shows that people are accepting now that where they wouldn't have been in the past. I don't think it's not going to. It's not going to shake up the world all that much. I mean, eventually, look, we might see a Super Bowl where a guy thanks his husband for his support. But, that's how every walk of life is now.
To me, the response to this compared to Michael Sam, who was, of course, at Missouri, has been so much less. Doesn't mean it's not out there. Doesn't mean there's not stories written and others who say this is going to change the world. But it's different. It's a different time.
It's been so much less because no one cares as much.
Yeah,
because
right.
There were actually thoughts out there when Michael Sam did that. It wasn't a subject that was talked about a great deal in pro sports. I mean, people were scared to just talk about homosexuality in general on the news. And so that took a while, but when Michael Sam did it, and that was 12 years ago?
No, it's been a long time.
When was that? I'd have to go and Google to see even when that was. I don't remember. But the fact is that just he was someone who openly said it. I don't think what Carl Nassib did is really all that big of a deal, quite frankly. What I think that it does, though, is it does show you that the people are comfortable enough now to come forward with news like that, whereas in the past they may not have been. And what it ultimately does is it doesn't change anything really with the NFL, except for the fact that maybe it allows a couple guys out there who are gay and in the NFL but don't feel comfortable in saying it because they feel like they're all alone on an island by themselves. Now maybe they feel comfortable enough to say, you know what? Yeah, me too, Carl. I'm in the same boat as you. Now the NFL's got 2, 3, 4, 5 actively openly gay players, and then it really becomes a non-story because it's more normalized. I just think it was taboo for a while, but it's not taboo anymore, really. I mean, for it to be taboo, you just have to be the biggest jerk in the world to be toxic in a locker room because your teammate's gay. You'd be out of the league in 2 seconds nowadays. And plus, I just think younger people in general are a lot more open and not so much tolerant, but just accepting of that lifestyle as opposed to in the 70s and 80s when everybody had handlebar mustaches and body hair. You know what I'm saying? It's just a different world. So I think it's just maybe encouraging for others, but I don't really see why anybody should be hesitant in doing it now anyways, because I really, truly don't think it's as monumental or revolutionary as when Michael Sam did it a few years ago.
But real quick, hold on. We got to go to break right now. But, Greg, I see that you're calling back. We don't have time for your call. You don't have to apologize.
All right, thank you.
We can just let it go.
We'll come back and wrap up the show next on SicEm365. You got something else?
No.
SicEm365 Radio.
The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home. Waco, Woodway, Hewitt, China Spring, Martin, Hillsboro. Familiar faces making local decisions. Here to help you, your family, and your business, whether it's great times or tough times. All of us need a bank we can count on. Great people with great technology dedicated to their customers and helping our area grow. Safe banking in person or use their online and mobile apps. Convenient drive-through and ATMs at all locations. They've got great products like the First Free Checking, and when they say free, they mean free. No minimum monthly balance, no monthly service charge, unlimited check writing, and unlimited debit cards purchases. The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home.
It's the 4th of July sales event at Allen Samuels with the 2021 Chrysler 300 with values up to $5,250 or 0% for 84 months. Be sure and see the 2021 Dodge Charger GT with total values up to $4,250 or 0% for 72 months. Allen Samuels, the award-winning customer service Central Texas dealer, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco and online at allensamuelsdcj.com. Allen Samuels is your friend in the car business.
Come by, let's be friends.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55.
Welcome back into SicEm365 Radio Top 5 at 5:55. Craig's got a note before we jump into this. Craig, you got something?
Yeah, I was just washing my hands, and this thought crossed my mind. Why is it that when a football player comes out and says he's gay, it's treated as this great revelation, but in women's sports, it's just assumed that like the majority of female athletes are gay, and nobody even blinks an eye at it?
Yeah, I mean, that's...
I don't know if I can answer this.
And maybe I should have phrased that differently, but I do feel like there is a large assumption that a lot of female athletes are lesbians.
Yeah.
And many of them are.
Yeah.
But that's just like, okay, like nobody even cares. Like the only time I've ever heard that be an issue was when Brittany Griner was trying to make Kim Mulkey look like a bad guy because Brittany was throwing a fit or whatever. But outside of that, I don't think I've ever heard a single, like in this specific realm, I don't think I've ever heard it be an issue really in any way unless they're like at a religious type of school. But one guy in the NFL says it, and it's like, oh, my God. But if you were to say that in WNBA, it'd be like, it'd be surprising that you weren't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, when I found out that, who's the girl that's she's on the Olympic team. She's married to the soccer player.
Sue Bird.
Okay. I did. All right.
Yeah,
but I think... I can answer this as older. When I was in college and I was informed that there were lesbians or whatever you want, gay people on the women's basketball team, that was the first time I really had had dealt or heard about that. And initially I was like, oh, and that was in the 70s. And so maybe it's because that's been something pretty prevalent and also known for 40 plus years, where in a lot of the male sports, unfortunately, that's kind of been the exception, very rarely brought up.
But male homosexuality goes back in history to the Greeks and
no one's arguing with that.
Yeah, so I just found, I don't know, I was sitting there washing my hands and I was thinking about the segment. I was like, it's really strange that we don't care at all with women.
I think also a lot of the heavy lifting on that side was done by Billie Jean King and Martina Navratilova a long time ago.
No,
40 years ago, they did all that. And so, like, the pearl clutching happened back then. And then male athletes just didn't want, it was just not. It's a different world.
And there was some. I remember those days, and it took me a while. It did, it took me a while to kind of understand that or whatever. But now, I think you're right, Craig. It's like accepted. In fact, I think if you even saw, and I don't want to say this, but if you saw a female athlete and she's married to a man.
Oh, it's like a surprise for people.
Like, oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I just found, I don't know, they really don't have anything meaningful behind it or anything. I found that kind of curious how we do that.
Yeah. All right. Okay, start recording the top 5 bit right now. Brought to you by Slapsticks Comedy Club. Coming along, I was over there last night, got to see some of the progress. So check out slapstickscomedy.com. Aiming for that soft opening on July 3rd. So things are moving along there. Top 5 Cowboys questions heading into camp. Number 5. How much of a difference can Dan Quinn make in a year? Because if the talent is still a problem, I don't care who your defensive coordinator is. That's a question.
I think he can make I understand that.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just lose the ability to listen to someone. You get old, you get stale, you don't have trust. I think he could make a dramatic. First of all, you don't have to make much of a difference. Kind of like Baylor's offense.
Yeah.
So I think he can make a pretty good difference in 1 year.
I think he can. I don't know that I expect him to make a massive difference, but I do expect him to be better, and just being slightly better would probably mean a couple more wins last year, which would put them in a pretty good driver's seat. So I think he can make the team overall a lot better by just being a little bit better on defense.
Yeah. Number 4, is Zeke still the Zeke that we know, or was last year really the Zeke that he is now?
I'm torn between him coming back on just an MVP type of level, like quietly just working in the lab. Like we don't hear much about him. And so I feel like he's either about to just set the world on fire, or we're starting to see the ending days of him in Dallas. That's kind of how I feel about this season.
The trend for running backs is once you lose your traction, you don't get it back. And every once in a while, there's a freak like Adrian Peterson.
Well, I think Zeke's one of those freaks, actually. I don't think he's just your run-of-the-mill Alabama guy that graduates every 3 years and, is in the league for a few years. And obviously Derrick Henry's not run-of-the-mill, but they've had, like Ingram and Richardson, and I think Zeke's like special.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not buying into him being done, but I think this year is going to say a heck of a lot about where he is going.
Yeah.
Well, whatever happened last year with him?
He's
a year older. It's the fumbles.
Yeah.
It crushed him. And then it probably hurt the way he could run because he's a physical, violent runner. And I wonder how much that affected him too.
Number 3 is Camp Darling Nashawn Wright really a diamond in the rough, or is this what happens with every Cowboys team, and that a guy comes into minicamp and he runs really well in shorts?
Is that his real number?
Yes.
Is that going to be the number he wears?
I think so, yes.
We're not going to make it.
But you can't be a cornerback and wear number 40?
Name me a 40 at corner.
No.
I just don't see how they have room. There's going to be all these articles coming out here over the next couple of weeks about camp previews and who are the list of undrafted free agents to watch.
Well, he's number 3. He's a third rounder.
Or not? Yeah, sorry. But list of guys to watch, and I don't know. Is it diamond in the rough as a third-round pick? I don't know that I consider a diamond in the rough in the third round, but yeah, I guess some people do.
Well, especially considering that most people said they wouldn't have picked him before the 5th.
Normally, it is a wide receiver.
Yeah.
And then a wide receiver would have to be just crazy, stupid good to even get a chance to even be on the field this year.
All right. Number 2, what's the starting secondary? I asked this to David Helman for a reason because, again, you look at is Kelvin Joseph? Is it Devontae KZ? Is it Jaron Kearse? I mean, who's this? Is it Donovan Wilson? Anthony Brown? Jordan Lewis? I mean, they've got a lot of, I know Trayvon Diggs is going to start at one corner. I assume that Donovan Wilson is going to start at one safety. After that, I have no idea. And I don't think Kelvin Joseph is really going to be expected to start in the first year, even a second round
pick. You asked
pick.
David this. Yeah, okay, yeah.
And so, I mean, that's probably going to be the boring answer, but what if the boring answer is boring because maybe some of those guys are done, like Jordan Lewis or Anthony Brown. And Anthony Brown was hurt for a good share of the year.
By the way,
year.
Gale Sears 140.
Yeah.
But he was a running back.
Running back, yeah.
Not a corner.
All right. Number 1, is the offensive line really healthy? We hear that about Tyron Smith. He's felt better than he has in years. Great. Lyle Collins is coming back from a hip. Zach Martin's coming back for an injury. Are they really healthy? Because Dak being back or Dak not being back, the offensive line is what's going to make this team go, and it was not there last year. And if they're not really healthy and it's all kind of smoke and mirrors, then the Cowboys have another problem they have to address on the horizon.
I think sometimes I give the Cowboys the benefit of the doubt on comebacks, whatever. The answer should be no, because they're older. There's Tyron Smith, we know, has a big problem.
That dude hasn't competed in a full training camp in like 10 years.
And
I mean,
his 8 games healthy are better than anyone else's 16 behind. The Martin thing, he should bounce back from. That just got, I think. And Lyle Collins didn't play at all last year, right?
No, exactly.
At all. And so I don't know, was that because he got fat and happy? I don't know. I would think that they'll be fine, but I don't think you can trust. If he plays a lot, fine, that's great. Tyron Smith's a Hall of Fame type player, but that I would think Father Time usually doesn't lose these battles.
No, and so hopefully he does feel better, and hopefully they can get 13 games out of Tyron Smith. Yeah. With maybe a couple there in the middle where he just takes off for rest. We'll see. But that's today's top 5 at 5:55.
All right, thanks to our guests today, including Olympian Will London, Jordan Nabors. Appreciate Kaian Roberts Day. Also, David Helman, Daniel Hill, Baylor sports law professor as well. Tomorrow, we know we have Mac Rhodes, among a couple of other guests we have. Thanks to Hayden, thanks to Jack and Emma, and Armstrong as well. For Craig Smoak and Paul Catalina, thank you for watching and listening and doing whatever you do to help promote what we do and keep telling people about what we do and our great sponsors from start to finish since April 6th of a year ago. I'm David Smoak, SicEm365 Radio. Good night.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.